Chapter 864. The Toad King, who was enjoying a massage from a few female beasts, received a piece of bad news. A lightning lizard quickly came over. It reported, "That newcomer's beast has already come out from the Spirit Beast Hall." When the Toad King heard this news, it immediately flew into a rage. Damn it! A dozen of people who boasted that they were the best assassins in the Beast Valley. They had the advantage of time and place, yet they couldn't even kill a little thing. Rice buckets, they're all rice buckets. I knew that I couldn't believe this group of people who only knew how to boast, but I still mercifully gave them a chance. I didn't think that they would completely disappoint my expectations for them. When these fellows, I will hang them all on the gallows. Let's see if they still have the face to continue boasting. That lightning lizard was sprayed with smelly saliva by the Toad King, but it didn't dare to wipe it off. It only weakly reported, "King, I'm afraid those fellows won't come out from the Spirit Beast Hall, because they are all dead." The Toad King was stunned. All dead? The lightning lizard was so scared that it didn't dare to raise its head. There shouldn't be anyone left. That little thing came out from the Spirit Beast Hall. Not only did she obtain the Gold Order badge from the 3rd floor, she even leveled up. If she didn't kill a dozen assassins who attacked her, how could she level up? The Toad King was unable to restrain its anger and cursed. Damn it! Those fellows not only couldn't kill her, they instead became her energy to level up. Damn it! Is there anything worse than this in this world? King! The lightning lizard didn't dare to report anymore. Could it be that there's something even more damnable and disgusting that this damn news is going to happen? Say it! I don't care about hearing bad news anymore. Could it be that there's something worse than a dozen assassins dying? Say it! I'm listening. Let all the bad things come at once. The Toad King was so angry that its entire body trembled. It used its greatest endurance to not throw the reporting lightning lizard into its mouth and eat it. Because they were worried that the other party would blame them, the human-faced tiger and eagle king sent their subordinates to clarify their innocence. The poisonous bee king and lion king's subordinates even directly pointed out that you were the one who ordered them. King, from what I see, the lion king and the poisonous bee king both have the intention of joining hands with this super strong newcomer. After the lightning lizard finished speaking, it immediately ran. It was really afraid that the Toad King would swallow it in a fit of anger. It was really afraid that the Toad King would swallow it in anger. Instead, he let out a burst of laughter that sounded worse than crying. That's normal. That newcomer rose too quickly. It would be strange if they didn't do something. However, he won't be so lucky next. This king will personally take action. What Pandora's box? That brat definitely won't be able to enter the 3rd Rolling Stone test field. So what if he has the power of disaster? After that, if they think I'm just one, I am of a beast, it is king of the 5. Of the king of the king of the king. 2. From of tot. From King Toad. In fact, rivers of blood would flow in the Beast Valley. Because of this, she had been in danger many times. Luckily, with her own high intelligence and Yu Yang's guidance, she had passed the danger without any mishap. With the gold token, Reaper Mantis could finally get rid of the status of a newborn beast and become a high-level elite beast of Beast Valley. Obtaining the token was only the first task. The second task was to test the beast's reaction time. This task had 3 choices: easy, normal, and hard. The easiest was archery. As long as 3 arrows hit an apple within 100 meters, and the piglet on top of the apple remained unharmed, the beast would pass. The normal challenge was spear throwing. After the test began, 10 different powerful bouncing mushroom balls would be thrown into the sky. This would be repeated 5 times. If all of them hit the target without a single mushroom or spear missing, it would be considered as a pass. Because the strong bouncing mushroom balls would collide with each other in midair, it was very possible to change their flight path. Hence, not many beasts could successfully complete this normal challenge. As for the hard challenge, it could be said to be one of the most abnormal tests in Beast Valley. Since the beginning of history, in Beast Valley, there had never been a person who completely succeeded in the hard challenge. Never. Even if they knew that there would be a wisdom fruit as a reward after completing this test, very few people tried it. This was because this test was too difficult. It was so difficult that the challengers didn't even have the courage to try it. This challenge was like this. The master and the beast had to cooperate. The master had to use a slingshot, or rather, a slingshot-like launcher, to shoot his beast out. On the other hand, the beasts were like cannonballs. Under the restrictions of the ancient code, they could not use any skills or powers unless they successfully passed the test. Then, the ancient code would temporarily reward them with a skill that could help them hit their target. If it hit the target wrongly, failed, or hit the wrong place, then the beast that acted as the cannonball would die a horrible death. Each time was harder than the previous. Under the condition that it was guaranteed to succeed 10 times, only then would it be able to pass the hard challenge and win a wisdom fruit. In the past, the prison emperor had tried this hard challenge before. However, after shooting it 3 times, even if he managed to pass all 3 tests, he was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat and didn't dare to continue. Queen Vivian Lee was slightly better. She tried 6 times, and all of them were successful. However, on the 7th time, even her enemies advised her not to try again, in case this historical record was destroyed. She was the first person in tens of thousands of years to complete the 6th beast cannonball test. Of course, she wasn't the highest record in the history of the Beast Valley. It was said that 100,000 years ago, there was an extremely intelligent senior who had fired the beast cannonball 9 times, and all of them were successful. At that time, the companion of the intelligent, bewitching person also advised him not to try again. Otherwise, all his efforts would be in vain. After thinking for a day, the intelligent, bewitching person took the risk and tried again. In the end, he failed and didn't get the wisdom fruit reward. He even let his beast die miserably once. What? That brat wants to try the beast cannonball? Is he crazy? When Toad King heard this news, he was dumbstruck and couldn't believe it. Is this true? Lion King, Eagle King, and Human-Faced Tiger were also in disbelief. Must he challenge this beast cannonball? It's impossible to succeed. On the surface, Poisonous Wasp King came to congratulate him, but he was secretly trying to dissuade him. As for Itachi, Scythe, and Dragon Horse, who were staying nearby, they couldn't hold it in anymore and rushed forward to dissuade Yu Yang. They had never seen anyone succeed in trying. Even that godlike Jiwuri only tried twice and left with a sigh. Beast Cannonball was no different from suicide. On the 2 sides of the testing ground, there was an ice pond on one side and a fire pond on the other. Further away, there were sharp walls, poison wells, and quicksand whirlpools. In short, as long as the beast cannonball made a mistake and landed outside the testing ground, it would definitely die. No matter how strong the beast was, once it entered the testing ground, the rules of the Beast Valley would deprive it of all its abilities. As long as it failed, it was equivalent to watching the beast die. Even if it was the first test out of 10, it would still be extremely difficult to pass the difficult level test. Under the situation where there was a tall tower between them, they had to fire the beast and let it smash into a tall tower made of wood, stones, and spears like a cannonball. There was a little pig inside the tall tower. The challenger only had one chance to fire, so they had to get rid of the little pig that was protected inside. If the tall tower didn't fall and the beast didn't die, it would still be considered a failure. In other words, they had to succeed. There was no possibility of failure or retries. Be quiet. Is this very difficult? I think it's very simple. Go away. Don't be a hindrance. Yu Yang kicked the Itachi, Scythe, and the Dragon Horse away. Do you really want to make a beast cannonball? The poisonous bee king secretly asked the Reaper Mantis. Yes, yes. The Reaper Mantis nodded cutely. She had absolute confidence in her master. Even if it meant death, her trust would not waver. Yu Yang wasn't like the others, who comforted and encouraged the Reaper Mantis. He didn't do anything at all. He directly lifted the Reaper Mantis and placed it on the slingshot's launcher. The Reaper Mantis's body was surrounded by a shining spherical shell of light using the power of the ancient code. It looked like a small cannonball. Actually, no matter how big or small the beast was, the power of the shot would be the same. Moreover, during the process of shooting, The beast's inherent skills and power were useless. Other than becoming a beast cannonball, the beast couldn't do anything at this time. Perhaps keeping the trust in its master and cooperating with each other to shoot was the best way for the beast to perform. The Toad King and the Lion King had not rushed over yet. They were a little far away. However, the Eagle King and the Poisonous Bee King were there. There were also other beasts and more than 10 residents. Everyone looked at Yu Yang as if he was a madman. In the Beast Valley, there was not a single person who could use the Beast Cannonball in 100 years. This brat was really crazy. They hoped that he would not fail too quickly. Otherwise, there would be nothing to see other than the Poisonous Bee King, the Itachi Scythe, the Dragon Horse, and a few others. The rest, no matter if it was the beasts or the residents, all thought that Yu Yang would fail in one shot. In the history of the Beast Valley, would there be a lack of fools who failed in one shot? Some extremely stupid fellows thought that they were infallible and chose the most difficult test. In the end, the moment they fired the cannonball, they found out that the beast was killed by them. Moreover, it died a horrible death. Don't you want to calculate it? The Itachi Scythe did not care about exposing himself. He wiped his sweat and advised, "Actually, there is no time limit. You can calculate it slowly." That's right. It's not bad to calculate it clearly before firing. The strength, angle, direction, and so on must be calculated carefully. The Dragon Horse also tried to persuade him. Is there a need to calculate such a simple thing? Yu Yang's face was full of disdain. What idiot. That beast is dead for sure. Seeing that Yu Yang was so arrogant, everyone knew that there was no good show to watch. Arrogant fellows like Yu Yang were usually the worst. Wanting to succeed without careful calculation? This was even harder than waiting for a pie to fall from the sky. Even if it was calculated, it might not succeed. 3,000 years ago, there was a wise man who calculated for 3 days and 3 nights. He also experimented for 1 day and 1 night to ensure that there was no mistake. Then he fired the beast, but he still failed in the end. There had never been a person who could succeed without careful calculation. It was definitely impossible. Even the easiest thing to shoot an apple, he had to calculate the angle, strength, and direction of the wind. The Itachi Scythe and the Dragon Horse originally wanted to persuade him again. Unexpectedly, Yu Yang was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he pulled the slingshot and shot the Reaper Mantis with a whoosh. The Reaper Mantis, which was wrapped in the light of the ancient code, drew a parabola in the distance. It flew past the first tower and smashed into the middle of the second tower. The entire pagoda shook and collapsed with a rumble. The piglet inside was as dead as it could be. It turned into ashes and smoke. The Reaper Mantis, which was wrapped in the light of the ancient code, was instantly teleported back to Yu Yang's palm. Could it be that he had succeeded? Was it that simple? Everyone's eyeballs fell to the ground. Chapter 865. Was it a stroke of luck? Impossible. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. It must be a coincidence. This is definitely not strength. If I were to say if that brat tried again, he would definitely not succeed. This is completely unbelievable. I can't think. What is the reason for this? Oh my God, is there something wrong with my eyes? You also saw that he succeeded? Is this true? Really? Sigh. I realize that my brain is a bit lacking. This success was too sudden. I was not mentally prepared at all. Did he really succeed? I wanted to say failure just now. Failure had already rushed to my throat. But damn it, he succeeded. When the surrounding residents and beasts reacted, they all jumped up and down crazily, as if they had been hit by a bomb, discussing spiritedly. Their expressions were filled with disbelief. Only the Eagle King and the Poisonous Bee King looked at Yu Yang with fear in their eyes. The two leaders with the strength of a king-ranked beast had enough eyesight to see that this was not a coincidence at all. It was completely a matter of strength. The reason why this young man succeeded was because he had enough confidence. Otherwise, he would not be able to casually send out the beast that he had painstakingly cultivated to Holy Beast. He definitely had the confidence, although they did not know where this confidence came from. Could it be that this young man's intelligence could not even stump the second most difficult task, which was publicly acknowledged to be the hardest? Itachi and Dragon Horse looked at Yu Yang blankly. They could not believe it for a long time. But after receiving the absolute confirmation of success, the two of them could not help but hug each other and cheer, tears of excitement gushing out. The current them had truly made up their minds. No matter what, they must follow this young man. He could definitely create miracles. He could definitely bring them freedom. The Poisonous Bee King's choice was not wrong. This young man with such extraordinary intelligence was indeed the most trustworthy. When everyone thought that he would fail, he could easily succeed. In the blink of an eye, it was on everyone's face. It was a resounding slap. Boom! In a testing field, the power of the law had already reset the field. There were 3 towers protruding from the ground. Among them, the little pig that needed to be killed was in the middle tower. Other than that, there were also 4 huge rocks protruding from the ground, one in front and one behind, one on the left and one on the right, to ensure that there was no way to hit the tower with a straight shot. The most despairing thing was that the 3 pagodas were supported by tree stumps. Even if the pagodas were hit, they wouldn't fall. If the towers did not collapse, the little pig hiding in the middle tower would not die. Yu Yang took a look and placed the Reaper Mantis on the slingshot. Wait, this is different from before. Think carefully first. Itachi's scythe quickly stopped him. Even a blind man could see that these 3 towers were much more difficult than before. There's no time limit. You can use as much time as you want. If you need it, we can use it as a model and simulate it for you. The Dragon Horse was even willing to simulate a beast cannon shell for Yu Yang to practice first as a reference. It's such a simple thing. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Yu Yang pulled the string on the slingshot and let go. Whoosh! The Reaper Mantis that was enveloped in the light of the ancient code shot out like a cannonball. The onlookers were dumbfounded again. Was this brat really stupid, or was he pretending to be? He fired it without thinking. Did he think he was a god? If he could succeed like this, who else would fail? If it was so easy to succeed, would there be so many failures in the Beast Valley? In that case, could the unprecedented and unbreakable record still be maintained? From the looks of it, if this brat wasn't born an idiot, he must have a screw loose in his head. Didn't he know what failure was? Without waiting for the onlookers to think too much, the ball of light that was enveloping the Reaper Mantis had already flown in a beautiful arc and landed at the base of the last pagoda. King-ranked leaders like the Eagle King and the Poisonous Bee King, as well as residents and beasts with special senses, could see that the ball of light that was enveloped in the Reaper Mantis sped up a little before it hit the base of the pagoda. Knowledgeable old beasts or old residents would definitely have heard of the second beast cannon shell test. In the second test, the beast that was enveloped in the ancient code would temporarily gain the skill Flying Collision, which could increase its speed and impact. However, no one knew why it would gain this skill and not something else. If the mystery of Flying Collision could be solved, then many smart people would be able to calculate the highest success rate. Rumble. The Reaper Mantis was like a cannonball. It first broke a supporting log. It then fiercely crashed into the base of the 3rd pagoda, creating a deep pit. The 3rd pagoda started to shake. Ah, not good. One of the oldest beasts exclaimed, "The angle of the shaking is not enough. The force of the impact is not strong enough." Last time, Master Honglai failed because of this. It was really a coincidence, just now. Toad King's subordinates were already impatiently feeling proud. Continue to move. Itachi's scythe and Dragon Horse looked nervous and almost held their breaths. Itachi's scythe even rubbed his hands vigorously, as if doing so would help to shake the pagoda. The Poisonous Bee King didn't look at the shaking pagoda anymore, but looked at Yu Yang. It realized that Yu Yang was smiling. That confident expression made the Poisonous Bee King stare blankly for a moment. Then it felt relieved. Why would he casually send his beasts out to die? He definitely had enough confidence. It was really stupid for it to worry for him. The 3rd pagoda kept shaking. Toad King's subordinates kept shouting for it to stop. There were also other beasts that shouted for it to continue shaking. They felt that it would be too much of a pity to fail like this. It would be best if this brat could succeed once more. Then they would see his painful expression in the more difficult tests. It was still too early for this brat to lose now. It would be best if he could lose 4 or 5 times. Then, it would be the best to see his bitter face. Let this brat be proud for a while more. The beast that wished for the whole world to be in chaos jumped and shouted, causing a ruckus. Some of them even blew air towards the pagoda. Although it was useless, it made them happy. The pagoda gradually tilted, and in the end, it smashed into the middle pagoda. However, due to the lack of strength, the middle pagoda only shook for a while and didn't collapse. Failed. All the spectators started to despair. Toad King's subordinates started to shout wildly. What did it mean if the middle pagoda didn't collapse? That little pig wouldn't die. The challenge had failed. Just when everyone thought that failure was certain, suddenly, the third pagoda that collapsed slid down a little. Although it wasn't enough to collapse the middle pagoda, it successfully broke the middle pagoda's tip. That pagoda's tip fell down, staggered, and finally smashed into the middle of the first pagoda. With a bang, a few long pagoda spears were smashed into pieces. Those few broken pagoda spears became flying arrows. They flew. One of them cleverly pierced through the middle pagoda's window and nailed the little pig inside. The little pig was hit by the spear and immediately exploded. And the Reaper mantis that was originally floating under the third pagoda's foundation was instantly teleported back to Yu Yang's hands. The spectators in the testing grounds were dumbfounded again. Wasn't this brat's luck too good? He was originally destined to fail, but his luck actually changed. There was still a broken spear that shot that little pig. If not for this move, this brat would have definitely failed. Needless to say, this was definitely luck. Even the smartest person wouldn't be able to calculate this point. None of the onlookers objected to this conclusion. Everyone thought that Yu Yang's luck had exploded. Even the Itachi Scythe and the Dragon Horse, who were scared half to death, didn't dare to guess that this was all part of his plan. Only the Eagle King and the Poisonous Wasp King shook their heads and sighed. In the eyes of these two Beast King rankers, if this wasn't planned long ago, then there was no such thing as a planned plan in this world. Not only was it planned long ago, it was also planned for the acceleration point and the falling point. If it didn't hit the roundwood, if it didn't break the roundwood supporting it, then the third pagoda wouldn't have collapsed toward the middle pagoda. If it didn't hit a little above the foundation, then the third pagoda wouldn't have smashed into the middle pagoda. If it didn't hit the top of the pagoda, then the top of the pagoda wouldn't have fallen onto the few spears that were used to block the cannonballs. If it didn't hit the spears on the top of the pagoda, then there wouldn't have been such a result. It was definitely not a coincidence. They were 100% sure that this was all planned in advance by this young man. It's just that his calculation speed was too monstrous. They didn't even see how he calculated. His seemingly casual action was actually more accurate than others who had calculated for a few days and nights. Facing such a monstrous and abnormal newcomer, the Eagle King and the Poisonous Wasp King were really speechless. When everyone thought that those sharp tower spears were used to block the cannonballs, this young man turned it around and used them to succeed. Just like that, he did something that others couldn't achieve even if they tried their best. You still want to shoot? The spectating beasts and residents all turned pale with fright when they saw that Yu Yang was preparing to shoot again. I'm going to faint. Some of the strong beasts couldn't even take it. Can't you let us take a breather? Some of the residents felt that their nerves were about to collapse. Let's take a break. There's really no rush. Even the Eagle King couldn't stand it anymore and tried to persuade him. The testing field opposite them had already been reset. 8 pagodas, 5 of them were on the ground, while 3 smaller pagodas were on top of the tall pagodas, supported by rocks. This time, it wasn't just 1 piglet that had to be killed, but 3. 1 cannonball had to cross 4 rock walls, destroy 5 pagodas, destroy 3 smaller pagodas, and kill 3 piglets. Was this possible? Even the world's craziest madman would shake his head and think that it was impossible. Yu Yang caressed the Reaper mantis's forehead lightly and brought it to his lips. Through the light of the code, he kissed her lightly and then placed her on the catapult. Others only saw kisses and encouragement. Only the most focused Poisonous Bee King noticed that Yu Yang had actually said something to the little one. This was definitely some kind of battle strategy. To complete the second test, the beasts had to cooperate well. The third test was even more difficult and naturally required cooperation. The poisonous bee king didn't know what Yu Yang had said to the Reaper Mantis. However, the Reaper Mantis was still smiling, obviously very confident in her master. When she placed the catapult on the catapult, she even clenched her fist in the light of the code, as if she was cheering for herself. Whoosh! Yu Yang didn't care about the expressions of the people around him and directly shot the Reaper Mantis, the cannonball. Different from the previous 2 times, he took a second to aim this time. The Reaper Mantis, wrapped in the light of the code, drew a perfect parabola and flew towards the target in the testing field. At this time, everyone looked at Yu Yang. They only had one expression. That was F***. This brat was really a madman. Chapter 866. When the Toad King rushed to the testing grounds, it realized there were thousands of spectators. The main characters, Yu Yang and the Reaper Mantis, were nowhere to be seen. It felt strange. Did that brat fail? Did he already leave to find a revived beast? That brat was crazy enough to dare to challenge the difficult level test so casually. It would be strange if he didn't fail. Thinking of this, the Toad King's heart was finally relieved. If he let that brat succeed, there was no need to mention the Lion King, who was the king of the Beast Valley. Even the Eagle King, the human-faced Tiger King, and even the poisonous bee king who didn't trust anyone would stand on that brat's side and hit him while he was down. At which stage did that brat fail? The Toad King found its underling, the lightning lizard, and asked, pretending not to care. 10 stages. The lightning lizard's voice was trembling. What did you say? He only failed at the 10th stage? Ha ha ha. I dare say that he will fail. No one has been able to pass through the difficulty test. In all of history, no one has ever succeeded in the challenge. What virtue or ability does that brat who is still wet behind his ears have to dare to be so arrogant? The Toad King mocked and ridiculed on the surface, but he was shocked in his heart. No, it's not. The lightning lizard swallowed its saliva with difficulty. It secretly raised its head to look at the Toad King and said weakly, I'm saying, that person has already passed all 10 stages. Passed all 10 stages? How is that possible? The Toad King was shocked. It simply couldn't believe its own ears. That is what I saw with my own eyes. I don't dare to lie to you. Everyone saw it. The lightning lizard was already prepared to escape at any time. He couldn't. Moreover, that brat only used an hour. The Lion King's underling, the short-tailed cat, added, if I knew that the reward for passing all 10 stages was a high-quality wisdom fruit, I would have tried it even if I had to risk my life. The old mountain elf sighed. Even if it wanted to take the test now, it had already lost the qualifications. Only newcomers had the qualifications to take the test, or perhaps residents who had failed the challenge. For challengers whose beasts had already died and became beasts, other than jealousy, there was nothing else. Once they became beasts, they would never have the qualifications to challenge again. The Toad King heard that something was wrong. Wisdom fruit? What is this? Why haven't I heard of it before? The old mountain elf's long hair immediately put on the posture of, I am the legendary sage with wisdom as vast as the sea. It stroked its beard and tapped the ground with its walking stick. It walked a few steps in an old-fashioned manner and coughed again. It was a pity that no one cooperated with it and flattered it by giving it a cup of tea or wine. Otherwise, it would have been even more imposing. The Toad King was seething with anger. What are you acting cool in front of me for? If not for the sake of Leonis, I would have killed you with a slap, or I would have swallowed you in one mouthful. Under the gaze of nearly 1,000 demon beasts and residents, Old Mountain Elf began to explain, the wisdom holy fruit is an extremely rare item in the heaven realm. It is a treasure among treasures. In the heaven realm, it doesn't exist at all. It can only be found in the heaven realm, in the blessed lands and grotto heavens of the people closest to the gods. Only then would such a treasure exist. As soon as it said this, the magical orcs and the residents all revealed looks of worship. A few of them even cheered on the spot. Was it the sacred fruit of wisdom? No wonder it looked different from ordinary wisdom fruits. Someone asked in a low voice. The sacred fruit of wisdom was such an awesome treasure. How effective was it? Although the spectators saw that Yu Yang had just received this reward, the Lion King, Eagle King, Human-Faced Tiger, and Poisonous Bee King were all people who wanted to befriend them, so they didn't dare to rob him. Of course, the most important reason was that they were all afraid of Yu Yang's Pandora's box. That thing was not to be trifled with. Old Mountain Elf acted like a pretentious person, trying to show off. Finally, he looked around and said, "The wisdom holy fruit, as the name suggests, is a holy ranked treasure in the world. Its power is more than 100 times that of an ordinary wisdom fruit. It is said that if an ordinary beast with no intelligence eats it, it can also awaken its intelligence. If a beast with basic intelligence eats it, it can immediately increase its intelligence. If a beast with high intelligence eats it, it can slowly increase its level to a holy ranked beast. It is said that in the heaven realm, there are some holy ranked beasts that cannot increase their intelligence, no matter what method they use. Under the situation where they are unable to become holy ranked beasts, they will pay a great price to find this wisdom holy fruit. Once they eat it, even if they are holy ranked beasts that cannot increase their intelligence, it is very possible for them to break through their spiritual barrier and awaken their intelligence to become holy ranked beasts." Hiss! When the audience heard this, they all forcefully sucked in their saliva. It would be a lie if they were not tempted by such a treasure. Even a person with a pure heart and few desires would drool in front of a treasure like the wisdom holy fruit. The Toad King's mouth turned into a waterfall of saliva. Voila la! It flowed all over the ground. If it is already a holy ranked beast and eats the wisdom holy fruit, what would happen? Someone asked. Humph. Old Mountain Elf seemed to have the air of an expert. If a holy ranked beast eats it, it would be even more incredible. You must know that the more intelligent a beast is, the more benefits it would receive after eating the wisdom holy fruit. This is the complete opposite of a normal wisdom holy fruit. Are you saying that if a holy ranked beast eats the wisdom holy fruit, it would have a chance to become a divine beast? The guy who asked this question was so excited that his voice was trembling. The chance is quite big. Old Mountain Elf's words caused an uproar. If Xiao Budian, who was already a holy ranked beast, really ate the wisdom holy fruit, wouldn't the Beast Valley have a divine beast? If a divine beast ascended, would the Beast Valley still be the same? Many people who had offended that abnormal newcomer and murdered Xiao Budian would probably pay a heavy price, right? Now, the spectators looked at the Toad King. His expression was as if he was a god of misfortune. Everyone was afraid that they would get into trouble if they got close to the Toad King, so they couldn't help but retreat. Even the Toad King's subordinates, the Lightning Lizard, didn't dare to get too close to the leader. Firstly, the Toad King liked to eat people when he was angry, and, secondly, misfortune was really contagious. They couldn't help but believe it. Especially that abnormal newcomer. He was most proficient in curses, and he was most proficient in using the power of calamity to torture people. Maybe the Toad King had already been cursed by him. The Toad King's expression was as ugly as if it had been constipated for a month. It scanned the surroundings. Everyone was carefully guarding against it, afraid that it would explode after receiving such a huge blow. However, the Toad King suddenly burst into loud laughter. That extremely unpleasant laughter made the surrounding magical beasts and residents retreat a good distance away. Hey, you want to scare me with a mere heaven-ranked level 2 beast? So what if it's a holy beast? Didn't I have any holy beasts under me? If it wasn't for that raging inferno battle soul burning my heaven frog demon, why would I lower my body and become a toad? However, even if I become like this, I can still look down on weaklings like you. Other than the Lion King, there's also the first commander of the residents, Darius. Who among you dares to say that they are my opponents? The Toad King laughed madly towards the sky, his stomach shaking. See, you pitiful worms, I will let you see whatever holy beast, whatever divine beast, they will all become my feces. If there really is a divine beast in the Beast Valley, it will be me. Ah, King, You are already a beast man. The lightning lizard weakly reminded its boss that the time for daydreaming was over. Beastmen didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the test, not to mention obtaining the divine fruit of wisdom. Everyone thinks so, right? The Toad King laughed crazily. Its ugly body suddenly trembled. A foul-smelling mucus oozed out from the uneven and densely packed warts on its skin. Following that, from the poison sac behind the eye, a naked man drilled out of the white venom. He smiled evilly as he looked down at the stunned magical beasts around him. It was hard to believe that the Toad King was actually a resident and not a beast man. For thousands of years, everyone had been deceived by him. It turned out that he was a resident who could fight with beasts as one. The lightning lizard trembled in excitement. King, are you really a resident? Then why don't you become the leader of the residents and fight to be the Beast King? The evil man laughed coldly. Nonsense, my beast only died once. How can I not be a resident? As for why I want to be the Beast King and not the leader of the residents, the reason is very simple. Firstly, there are too few residents and they all have their own leaders. I can't recruit many people. Secondly, the Eagle King and the Human-Faced Tiger King are having a hard time fighting against the Lion King. My participation is exactly what they want. The old mountain elf walked out from the crowd. So what if you were a resident? Even if you can fight with beasts as one, it's still controlled by your consciousness. If your toad's intelligence can't be improved, it's useless no matter how strong you are. Can you be stronger than the Lion King? Without intelligence, you will never be able to leave the Beast Valley. After hearing this, the evil man laughed wildly towards the sky. He pointed at the old mountain elf's long hair and scolded coldly. Get lost, old man. I will show you what a great plan is right now. An eagle-headed beast flew in front of the evil man and knelt down respectfully. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the devil-headed beast dug out one of its eyes, endured the pain, and passed it to the evil man. The evil man asked, "Are you sure that you have used the eagle eye to copy that brat's movements?" The eagle-headed beast replied respectfully, "Absolutely." The evil man laughed loudly and drilled a bloody hole in his forehead, embedding the eyeball in his forehead. Countless white mucus and tentacle-like granules seeped out from the bloody hole and sealed the wound. The granules drilled into the eyeball and merged perfectly in a few seconds. The evil man laughed proudly. After waiting for thousands of years, it's finally here. Whether it's the fruit of wisdom or the sacred fruit of wisdom, I want it all. Now, the surrounding beasts understood a little. This Toad King had planned this from the start. Regardless of whether the opponent succeeded in the challenge or not, he would still benefit. If he failed, then the opponent's strength would be greatly reduced, and he would no longer need to fear him. In the end, he would still not be able to escape from his sneak attack. Even if he succeeded like this, the Toad King would not suffer any losses. Instead, because the eagle-headed beast's eagle eye had copied the opponent's successful technique, he would obtain the sacred fruit of wisdom. If the Toad King obtained this sacred fruit of wisdom, then the Beast Valley would be finished. Blood would flow like a river, and corpses would be strewn everywhere. The evil man waved his hand. After the giant toad jumped onto the slingshot, it immediately shrunk under the power of the law, turning into a beast cannonball. According to the eagle eye that replicated Yu Yang's firing angle and technique, the evil man shot the toad cannonball elegantly and perfectly. Rumble. The first shot was a success, a great success. It was exactly the same as Yu Yang's previous shot. There was no difference at all. When the toad was teleported back to the evil man's hands, not even a minute had passed. The surrounding beasts and residents all cursed in their hearts. Could this eagle eye really replicate it perfectly? With a successful precedent, sacred fruit of wisdom. Just wait for me to eat you. Ahaha! The evil man laughed arrogantly. Originally, the lightning lizard wanted to remind him that no matter how precious the sacred fruit of wisdom was, it was still for beasts to eat. If a human ate it, they would definitely become an idiot. However, it did not dare to step forward and correct him. It shrunk into a corner and quietly waited for the result. Whoosh! The second toad cannonball continued to fly out. The angle and technique was exactly the same as when Yu Yang shot the Reaper Mantis. Rumble! Just when everyone was disheartened and dejected, they prepared to leave, unable to bear to watch anymore. Suddenly, the short-tailed cat screamed, "No, no!" Although the supporting log was broken, the position of the base was wrong. The angle of the third tower's tilt was also a little different. Most importantly, the middle tower's tip fell down, but the first tower's short spear did not break. Wah wah wah! That little pig is still alive. It failed. The foolproof replication actually failed. Everyone looked up and were shocked to find out. That short spear did not break completely. It was only slightly stuck in the top of the tower. The middle tower's falling direction changed and smashed onto the ground. Crushed stones flew everywhere. One of the large round stones hit the toad in the law ball of light. That toad light ball immediately started to roll slowly, all the way to the lava pool at the edge. No, no, don't. The evil man was about to go crazy. He wanted it to stop, but the cruel reality made him want to fly into the testing grounds and personally save the toad that was about to die. He did not have the time to understand. It was clearly the same action. Why did he fail? And why did that brat succeed? Right now, he had already accepted his failure, but he hoped that the toad would not fall into the pool and die. Once it did, the toad would have one last chance. If the Lion King, Eagle King, Human-Faced Tiger King, and Poisonous Wasp King attacked him together, then he would become a real magical beast. Then, he would really never be able to leave the Beast Valley. There was even the danger of death. No, no, no. The evil man roared crazily. It was unknown whether it was luck or some other reason, but that toad-light ball had just rolled to the edge of the lava pool. It was still a hair's breadth away, but it stopped. It was extremely dangerous. But in the end, it did not fall into the lava pool. This made the surrounding magical beast sigh. What a pity it was so close. It was still that sharp-eyed short-tailed cat. It was still unwilling to give up. It pointed at the testing grounds and roared. Look, the top of the tower has been shattered. That round stone is still rolling. It's rolling toward the toad. Come on, roll over. Knock down that dirty toad. Usually, the magical beast would definitely not dare to shout like this. But now that they were too excited, they completely forgot that the Toad King was just beside them. All of them were jumping up and down excitedly as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They wanted nothing more than to rush in and give it a kick so that the toad at the edge of the lava pool would fall into the pool and die immediately. No, no, that was close, that was close. The evil man realized that the round stone was getting slower and slower. It stopped when it rolled to the side of the toad light ball. It could not hit it at all. He was wild with joy as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Rumble! The third tower, which had fallen in the middle, fell a little more. A few short spears that were used to block the warbeast cannonballs were broken. One of them coincidentally flew to the edge of the round stone. Under the impact, the round stone quickly rolled and brushed past the edge of the toad light ball. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the toad light ball swayed a few times before it slowly tilted. Bit by bit, it fell diagonally towards the boiling hot lava pool. Even if the toad struggled crazily inside, even if the evil man in despair punched and kicked the slingshot launcher, it was of no use. He could not save the toad from its fate of failure and death. The magical beasts all cheered. They were even happier than if they had won a great battle. The short-tailed cat immediately shook its butt. Congrats, congrats. All the magical beasts started to sing the praises of the Beast King's ascension. It sounded especially ironic now. The old mountain elf, Longhair, stroked his beard with one hand as he used the tone of someone lecturing a junior. The same method. Not everyone can succeed. The reason why other people can succeed is because they have a holy beast, while you only have a toad. Other people's holy beast knows how to cooperate, but your toad is completely idiotic. That's why some things are predestined. Things that don't belong to you, even if you want to forcefully take it, you won't be able to. The Toad King was so angry that its whole body trembled, and it almost vomited 3 liters of blood. At this moment, It really wanted to find a piece of tofu and smash its head on it. Chapter 867. At this moment, Yu Yang was the focus of everyone's attention. They were the four leaders: Leo King, Eagle King, Human-Faced Tiger, and Poisonous Wasp King, as well as a group of demon beast residents like Ferret Scythe, Dragon Horse, Crow, and the Cheetah Brothers. Their gazes towards Yu Yang were solemn, envious, jealous, shocked, hateful, happy, and even worshipful. No matter what they thought, the four leaders wholeheartedly wanted to cooperate with this abnormal newcomer. At the very least, they wanted to coexist peacefully with him. It was unwise to provoke an expert who possessed a sacred beast and could possibly become a divine expert in the future. For example, Toad King jumped out to attack Yu Yang too early and fell into an awkward situation. The strong contrast created by Yu Yang was a huge deterrent to the Lion King and the Eagle King, the two leaders who had the intention to ally with the Toad King. As for Human-Faced Tiger, who wanted to maintain a neutral position and accumulate strength, he secretly sighed at his good luck. Human-Faced Tiger would never cooperate with Toad King for official or private reasons. He was also the one who paid the most attention to Toad King's success or failure. If Toad King succeeded, it meant that his strength would increase. If he failed, Toad King would very likely step down from his position as the second leader among the five leaders and be pushed out by Human-Faced Tiger, who was originally ranked third. Needless to say, Poisonous Wasp King, who had a secret agreement with Yu Yang, was even more so. The stronger Yu Yang was, the more intensely he retaliated against Toad King. This proved that Toad King's foresight was more accurate, and the chances of successfully escaping from the Beast Valley would be higher. Poisonous Wasp King was definitely the happiest one. Of course, he would not show it on the surface. On the surface, Poisonous Wasp King and Human-Faced Tiger were the same. They both maintained a neutral position. How did you pass the difficult test? How did you do it? Even though Ferret Scythe had already seen his Reaper Mantis sister happily eating the wisdom's sacred fruit, he still had a feeling of disbelief. No one had ever successfully passed the difficult test in history. He passed just like that? This was too unbelievable. Even though he saw it with his own eyes, he could not believe his eyes. Fortunately, this challenge isn't the most difficult one. Yu Yang smiled. His smile was filled with confidence. Actually, the content of these difficult tests, strictly speaking, compared to some of the games that Yu Yang had played before he came to this world, to a certain extent, there were certain similarities. The only difference was that if you failed in the game, you could try again, but if you failed this test, your beast would die. Furthermore, there was only one chance in every stage. The reason why Yu Yang had the confidence to challenge it was because he had now obtained the inheritance of knowledge and had fused with the great wisdom of countless realms under the world tree. He was no longer the same as before. Coupled with the heaven eye's divine vision, he had the ability to see through the truth. Yu Yang, who had reached the supremacy realm, could sense where the fatal point of each stage was. Even in the first 6 stages, Yu Yang was able to easily pass the stage even without the heaven eye's divine vision, the inheritance of knowledge, and the great wisdom of countless realms under the world tree, because he had fused with Queen Vivian Lee's wisdom in the first 6 stages. To him, the process of Queen Vivian Lee's success in the first 6 stages was basically a secret to pass. Of course, for the last 4 times, it was the result of Yu Yang's intelligence and the Reaper Mantis's teamwork. Even for the first 6 times, Yu Yang, who had Empress Fei Wen Lee's experience, was able to complete it perfectly. Under the circumstances where no one knew, he and the Reaper Mantis cooperated well and made 3 traps. At that time, there was an eagle head monster that was using a special ability to copy his movements. Although Yu Yang did not know who sent it, but it did not stop him from making a move. Right now, Yu Yang, Lion King, Eagle King, and Human-Faced Tiger did not know that the smart Toad King was already in big trouble. What? When the 4 kings and their subordinates heard Yu Yang's reply, they could not help but be in an uproar. This brat was really arrogant, but how to put it, he really had the ability to be arrogant. The difficult test was not something that anyone could pass. I can promise one thing. No matter when, my subordinates and I will not hinder the strong from passing the stage. Young man, although I no longer have the chance to leave the Beast Valley, I admire the outstanding younger generation, no matter when. I wish you success. Continue to make big strides forward. Lion King very sincerely expressed the words of a senior. Venomous Wasp King secretly despised him. If not for you, Yang and Tiny Tot turning the tables, would you say that? Like Lion King, we all have good intentions. Eagle King did not mention the grudges between his subordinates. Moreover, he, who had been watching Yang pass the stage, had a special kind of respect. He felt that this young man was inconceivable, and if he challenged him, he would definitely be overestimating himself. Young man, we do not doubt that you and your beast can complete the third pushing stone field task, but you have to pay attention to the Toad King. That dirty fellow likes to trick people in the pushing stone field the most. The pushing stone field is a place that requires calculation, reasoning, solving puzzles, and even patience. As the owner of the stage, you can only wait outside and cannot enter to help your beast pass. Venomous Wasp King and I are willing to go to the pushing stone field and intercept the Toad King, but we are very regretful that we are unable to provide more help to your beasts. In many areas, you can only rely on yourself. Of course, with the Holy Beast superintelligence, passing is only a matter of time. Human-faced Tiger passed a piece of parchment to Itachi's scythe, who then passed it to Yu Yang. On that parchment, it recorded all kinds of information about the pushing stone field. To others, this piece of parchment was undoubtedly extremely precious. But Itachi's scythe knew that the Venomous Wasp King, who had truly allied with Yu Yang, would probably provide more and more accurate information. Human-faced Tiger was still a step too late. It seemed that the one with the best eyesight and the greatest determination in the Beast Valley was not the praised human-faced tiger, but the cold, venomous Wasp King who never trusted anyone. Yu Yang expressed his gratitude, exchanged greetings with the host and guest, and made a verbal agreement to cooperate. The four great leaders of the Beast Valley needed Yu Yang to restrain the Demon Dr. Wei, Jinglu, and the Ghost Eye King who had yet to leave the Beast Valley. Especially the Central Shrine's Fire Hall Master Burning Wind, the Dark Hall Master 1MO, the Vice Hall Master Wei Wu, and the three Temple Elders. They became the invading forces that the Lion King and the others were wary of. Towards these two groups of strong forces, the Lion King and the others did not dare to have any crooked ideas. They were afraid that these people would slaughter a large number of the Beast Valley's forces to nurture beasts. Fortunately, Ji Wuri and Zhong Hua went to chase after that Captain Cook. Otherwise, the Beast Valley would become a scorched land. I know the Demon Doctor and the Ghost Eye King, but I have only heard of the Six-Pan King, the Heavenly Water King, and the Sea-Swallowing King. As for the few from the Central Shrine, I don't want to explain too much. They're all my targets. When Yu Yang said this, the Lion King and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Yu Yang was from the Central Shrine. However, after seeing that Yu Yang did not look for Burning Wind and 1MO, who were about to leave the Beast Valley after half a month, they secretly guessed that he might not be from the Central Shrine. The Lion King gave the other three kings a look. If he was not from the Central Shrine, then this young man might be from Captain Cook's side. He might also be from the Demon Doctor's side. No matter what, there was no problem with their cooperation. If he was from the Central Shrine, they were really afraid that he would turn around and wipe out the old forces of the Beast Valley. It's getting late. Why don't we finish the mission at the stone-pushing field tomorrow? Tiger and Wasp, you two should also rest well and accompany the Holy Beast to the stone-pushing field tomorrow. Eagle and I will stay outside and work together to prevent that stinky toad from playing tricks. As the Lion King persuaded Yu Yang to rest, he signaled the Eagle King, the human-faced Tiger King, and the Venomous Bee King to discuss in secret. Perhaps they needed to strengthen their cooperation. At the very least, they needed to discuss the details as soon as possible. All right, see you tomorrow. Yu Yang did not summon his grimoire, but let the Reaper Mantis lead him back into the grimoire world. In the Beast Valley, Due to the restrictions of the ancient code, it was impossible to summon a grimoire. However, if the beast had enough power to lead its master back to the grimoire world, then there would be no problem at all. Similarly, if the beast did not have enough power and intelligence to lead its master back to the grimoire world, then even if the challenger had a grimoire, it would be useless here. There were many residents who clearly had grimoires, but they were unable to use them. Seeing Yu Yang return to the grimoire world in an instant, the Lion King and the others were secretly shocked. This was definitely not as simple as the holy beast leading him. The Lion King looked at the human-faced tiger. The human-faced tiger pretended not to notice and shook his head, sighing, "It's at least a gold grimoire, maybe even a platinum grimoire." As expected of the most abnormal newcomer, the Eagle King was more straightforward and blurted out, "I dare to confirm with my eyes of eagle that it's a diamond grimoire, and it's already close to a holy grimoire. The faint energy and willpower it emits is enough to shock one's soul. So young, but he already has a diamond grimoire that's close to a holy grimoire." The Lion King thought, and couldn't help but reevaluate Yu Yang in his heart. When Yu Yang returned to the grimoire world, the four kings discussed again. Each of them had their own thoughts, but they all agreed to further strengthen their cooperation with Yu Yang. After half an hour, Old Mountain Elf, Long Hair, Short-Tailed Cat, and a group of beasts who had witnessed Toad King's scheme being destroyed came over. They happily reported this great news to the four kings. When the Lion King and the others heard the news, they were shocked. They were so shocked that they couldn't speak for a long time. Could it be? The human-faced tiger looked at the Eagle King in disbelief. "I'm not too sure, but it's very possible." The Eagle King thought for a long time. At that time, there was indeed a traitor of the eagle head monster, but I didn't pay attention to it because it had sided with Toad King for a long time. I didn't expect it to use Eagle Eye to replicate it. If Toad King's failure was really planned by that young man, then he's too scary. Hiss. Everyone thought along his words, and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This wasn't scary. This was simply a monster. Toad King was definitely not a stupid person, but to be toyed with like this and suffer a crushing defeat on the spot, if this wasn't a monster, then what was? The poisonous bee king was shocked, but also ecstatic. He snorted coldly on the surface. There's nothing strange about this. To truly succeed, it requires the cooperation of both the master and the beast. Although Toad King used the identity of a resident to conceal it, once he's separated from the beast, that toad would be nothing. How could a stupid beast understand true cooperation? Toad King's failure was already destined. Furthermore, I'm guessing that the other party might not have been scheming against Toad King. He only knew that someone was using a special ability to replicate, so he made this move and buried this trap. Toad King was just an impatient sacrifice. If he didn't jump out, the unlucky ones might have been the other residents, or even the three leaders of the residents. The Lion King was very happy. No matter what, Toad King's true face has finally been revealed. Furthermore, his strength has been greatly reduced. Our chance has come. Eagle, Tiger, and Bee, don't you think that there are too many kings? You should know that I'm a conservative. If that stinky toad falls, his territory and subordinates will all belong to you. I only want Toad King's sword as a souvenir. The poisonous bee king snorted in his heart. You want the sword because you're afraid that someone else would take it and increase your strength, which would threaten your current position. Freedom is the ultimate goal. You guys can fight for power in the Beast Valley. The poisonous bee king, who had the hope of freedom, he didn't object at all. Eagle King and Human-Faced Tiger also nodded their heads and agreed to this splitting plan. Yu Yang, who had returned to the grimoire world, was currently soaking comfortably in a steaming hot bathtub, enjoying the massage from the half-elf slave. In his mind, Pandora's telepathic communication was still transmitted to him. She had just woken up from her deep sleep, and once she woke up, she immediately looked for him to chat. There's no longer a goddess of misfortune in this world. There's only my lover, Pandora. You can call me Pandora from now on. Pandora was very happy now. After being purified by the heavenly sword goddess Shuang Hua Sword, she had completely abandoned her previous resentment. Being a powerful but unfortunate goddess was not her desire. To be a happy lover, this was the ultimate dream that she had been searching for 100,000 years. Until she met Yu Yang, she finally understood what she needed and what the meaning of life was. Chapter 868. In the grimoire world, Yu Yang, who had stolen half a day of leisure, put aside the troubles in the Beast Valley and enjoyed Xiaonu's massage in peace. In his mind, he was teasing the curious Pandora. There was no need to think about difficult tests to pass the stage, no need to fight against various enemies. In his own grimoire world, it would always be a peaceful home. Whenever he returned, there would be a cute and obedient Xiaonu who would welcome him with a smile. Her cheerful little face shone with happiness. Other than the delicious food that was always prepared, there was also hot water that was steaming hot. Even without orders, there would be a comfortable and considerate massage. Her soft, boneless fingers with just the right amount of strength could relieve all the fatigue in his body. Usually, he would have a lively younger sister, an understanding elder sister, and a gentle wife to keep him company. After not seeing them for a while, Yu Yang suddenly missed them. After passing through the Beast Valley, he must go back. He must have a good reunion with them. Yu Yang's thoughts gradually calmed down as he exchanged a few words with Pandora. Pandora also knew that he was tired outside, so she did not disturb him anymore. She hoped to find a time and opportunity to discuss her matters with Xiaonu. Just as she made up her mind, Xiaonu just happened to gently cover Yu Yang with a blanket. Every time Master was tired, Xiaonu would see Mistress Wu Hen or Mistress Fallen Flowers. They would accompany Master to rest, using their arms to hug him, so that he would not be lonely even in his sleep. Different from when he was awake, arrogant, and confident, when Yu Yang was completely relaxed, he would reveal his innate nature that was not usually present, a kind of loneliness that no one could understand. Only at this time, the deepest part of his soul would open up. Even in his sleep, he would curl up his body like a lonely child. It was also at this time that his face would reveal a kind of innocence that would never appear when he was awake. Seeing him like this, no one would doubt it. On the contrary, everyone would understand. In fact, he wasn't born to be battle-hungry, and he wasn't as greedy as others thought. Everything he did during the day was nothing more than an iron gate in his heart for self-protection, a spiritual defense that was naturally vigilant. Apart from being by the side of the person he trusted the most, he would never be able to achieve such a peaceful sleep, nor would he reveal his true nature. The half-elf slave learned from sickly beauty and gently planted a kiss on Yu Yang's forehead. What an arrogant and proud person. I didn't expect him to be like a child when he's asleep. Pandora couldn't help but sigh. Xiaonu realized that there was another voice in her mind. I've already woken up. I didn't die. I just fell into a deep sleep. Pandora quickly explained. Xiaonu reacted and exclaimed joyfully, Pandora, it's great that you didn't die. I thought you were dead, and I even secretly cried. Should I tell Master immediately? If he knew, he would definitely be very happy. No, let him rest. Pandora found that she was very happy to see the sleeping side of Yu Yang. She found that it was like two different people. What's going on? Tell Xiaonu quickly. Xiaonu wiped her tears in surprise. Thank you. Pandora was very touched. Even if she was sleeping because she was one with Xiaonu, she had a certain resonance with Xiaonu when she secretly cried when she missed her, and the surprise when she saw her. Xiaonu's pure heart made her, the originally resentful goddess of misfortune, also couldn't help but be touched. She had never had a friend who would treat her like this, except for this lovely half-elf slave in front of her. She told the cause and effect of the matter. Although she didn't know who saved her, she knew that it was the guardian deity behind Yu Yang. Pandora didn't say much about some secret content that Xiaonu didn't need to know, and she was only rescued a second before the divine sense disappeared, so she didn't know much. If she wasn't originally a goddess of misfortune, but an ordinary person, she would definitely be confused and inexplicable. Sitting on the edge of the bed, Xiaonu imitated Yu Yu's usual way of comforting Yu Yang, holding Yu Yang's big hand and accompanying him. while listening to Pandora's story quietly. Finally, when she heard that Pandora was willing to be one with her, she agreed without thinking. It doesn't matter. Xiaonu is usually alone. If Master is not around, Xiaonu is also very lonely. So, if Pandora can be together, then Xiaonu will not be lonely. If Pandora is together, Xiaonu doesn't have to worry about serving Master well. With the strength of two people, it is definitely better than Xiaonu working alone. Most importantly, Xiaonu is very weak and can't give Master more help. If I have your strength, Pandora, Xiaonu doesn't have to worry about not being able to accompany Master in the future. Pandora heard the voice of Xiaonu. Even if she was a spiritual body, she couldn't help but cry. She was really touched. At this time, it was the half-elf Xiaonu who came to comfort her, the goddess of misfortune. The two girls happily communicated with each other in their minds, telling each other about their own experiences, trying to harmonize their minds. Once our bodies have completely adapted to the divine power, we will be able to completely fuse together. Of course, although we will be sharing the same body, there are still two souls. We both have our own selves, but we are like twins fused together. Perhaps this is the eternal life that the ancient gods talked about. I will never be separated from you. Of course, there's also him. In the future, I will no longer be lonely, and I will always obtain eternal life in this way. Pandora was very emotional. Then hurry up and start. When Master wakes up, we have to give him a surprise. In Xiaonu's heart, Yu Yang would always be the first in her life. Do you really not need to think about it anymore? Pandora asked. What are you thinking about? Xiaonu asked cutely. Thank you, Xiaonu. I'm really happy to know you. Pandora's heartstrings seemed to be plucked by the hand of God, trembling because she was moved. In the future, you'll be alone. Don't be polite. Let's work hard together. We must make Master the happiest person in the world. Xiaonu's words made Pandora turn to Yu Yang involuntarily. In his sleep, he had been holding Xiaonu's hand, as if he was afraid that she would leave him. Seeing Yu Yang's quiet sleeping state, Pandora gave birth to a kind of gentleness. Indeed, no matter when, she must make this man in her heart happy. Then let's start. Pandora was a little excited. She thought that it would take a long time for Xiaonu to accept her, but she didn't expect it to be so smooth. Xiaonu's body had completely adapted to the divine power. It was also because of her pure heart, with no distracting thoughts other than Yu Yang's, that her heart was connected with Pandora and the disaster divine power that was purified by the Shuang Hua sword, that she could inherit the divine power without any obstacles. Unlike Red and Jiang Ying, Xiaonu, who did not fight and did not have any mental barriers, could completely assimilate the divine power in her daily life. This was something that even Yu Yang did not expect at the beginning. As long as he merged with Pandora's soul and spirit, Xiaonu and Pandora would become one. They would become one, the same happy and worry-free goddess of misfortune. Perhaps they would not have the terrifying battle power that could even curse the gods, but they possessed a body of disaster divine power that was not inferior to anyone. Self-defense was definitely not a problem. Divine light shone through the entire grimoire world. Vast divine power. It could easily move mountains and overturn seas. But it could also be so quiet and gentle that even the sleeping Yu Yang was not disturbed. When Yu Yang woke up, he found a fragrant white jade body in his arms. She was not like fallen flowers or little Anan, who pillowed on his arm. Instead, she was like the impatience who liked to let him pillow on her arm and feed him the shocking snow on her chest. She did not forget to seduce him at any time. But Yu Yang did not open his eyes. He also knew that the person who possessed the same shocking weapon was not the naughty impatience. She was very gentle and had a special aura of peace, just like a little mother. She was not like the impatience at all, but a little like Traceless, or Yu, but they definitely did not have such a weapon. Yu Yang used his hand to rub it lightly. She, who was originally a little awake, became confused again. The feeling was very good, but it was a little unfamiliar. Who is she? Who would have this kind of completely different but indescribably wonderful feeling? Yu Yang, who was not very well behaved when he was sleeping, could not help but touch her up and down before he even opened his eyes. It was not entirely out of lust. Initially, it was only because of curiosity. But the more he touched, the more he couldn't bear to let go of this gentle and beautiful person. When Yang opened his eyes, he found out that it was actually Xiaonu, who was intoxicated and panting weakly. She had already turned into an obedient little slave. Master! Xiaonu's jade face was burning. Because of Yu Yang's caress, her entire snow-white body was dyed with a layer of extremely alluring crimson. She could not bear the embarrassment, but she could not bear to let go of Yu Yang. She could only desperately bury her head in his arms, hoping to avoid his gaze. Towards his invading hands, she was powerless to resist. It seems a little different. Yu Yang felt that something was wrong. Kiss, kiss. Suddenly, Xiaonu kissed Yu Yang excitedly. In the spiritual world, Pandora and Xiaonu's combined consciousness tightly hugged Yu Yang. So that's what happened. Yu Yang suddenly realized that Pandora and Xiaonu had already fused into one. No wonder Xiaonu would be so proactive. It was Pandora's consciousness that was at work. It was the same person, but there were two different consciousnesses. One was active, the other was passive. One was curious, brave, and ignorant. The other was bashful. Because the two consciousnesses had different contradictory reactions, and they were displayed as one, it was more stimulating than any kind of temptation. Yu Yang's wolf blood instantly boiled. Originally, he did not have this plan to push her down. Yu Yang wanted to give Xiaonu a wonderful and special first experience. Now, wasn't this also a special first experience? The experience of two people fusing into one body. Perhaps there had never been a similar case since ancient times, right? Yu Yang could not continue thinking about it. He did not want to think about it anymore. He would directly eat the little lamb. He turned over and pressed down on Xiaonu. He leaned down and kissed her. The flames of passion were ignited like a volcano eruption. The stimulation of two souls in one body was beyond Yu Yang's imagination. The two completely different consciousnesses made his conquest sublimate again and again in the wonderful tolerance and spiritual resonance. It made him reluctant to let go. He asked for it again and again, completely forgetting that they were all first experiences. When Yu Yang woke up beautifully, it was already the second day after the pleasure. He jumped out of bed and found that the original traces of pleasure on his body had long been washed clean. He even wore pajama pants. Even the snow-white bedsheet with the little red flower blooming on it had been changed. Where was his cute and obedient Xiaonu? Where was the love-idiot Pandora, who kept exclaiming, "Is this love?" During the battle, he strode around the hall and found a little darling busy in the kitchen. Yu Yang did not see her for a long time. He could not help but poke his head in to take a look. He almost let out a wolf howl. The cute Xiaonu only wore a pink apron. There was not a single piece of clothing on her back. She was completely naked. The incomparably beautiful curves and the breathtaking scene of her naked body were all displayed in front of Yu Yang's eyes. "You're awake. Pandora told me to expose this for you. I feel very shy like this." Xiaonu heard the sound and looked back. She shyly lowered her head. "It looks good. Wear it like this." Yu Yang rushed forward. His wolf hands could not help but start moving again. "Wait for me to serve the pastries." Xiaonu found that a certain wolf had started to go berserk again. It's too late. A certain wolf directly attacked. "I like this. This position is not good. Oh my god, this bad guy is too reckless. Xiaonu, let's do it together and defeat this bad guy." This was the counterattack declaration of a certain stupid love goddess. Chapter 869. After resting in the beauty's gentle embrace, Yu Yang's exhaustion was swept away. Full of energy, he continued his journey in the Beast Valley. Beast Valley, stone-pushing field. The third test was different from the previous two, but it was an extremely difficult test. Although it was not as dangerous as the Spirit Beast Hall and the Beast Cannonball, and there was no time limit here, this stone-pushing field was the toughest test for beasts. Because it was a place that tested the intelligence of beasts. No matter how strong the beasts were, as long as they did not have enough intelligence, they would not be able to pass. For the stone-pushing field test, most of the time, the masters who stayed outside would also help to calculate the final answer. Even some stupid beasts, even with the help of their masters to cheat, would not be able to pass. The reason was the problem of execution. Without intelligence, they would not even be able to execute correctly. In the stone-pushing field, the question that was publicly acknowledged to be the most difficult was pushing the rock. Because of this, the third testing area of the Beast Valley was called the stone-pushing field by the challengers. If it was a question like collect 1 gold a day, double it the next day, how much gold can be collected in a month and 30 days, there were still stupid people who could use a long time to calculate it. But questions like wind and fire multiplied by water and fire equals fire, water and earth equals wind, 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 fire, water and earth. Ask what is wind, fire, water and earth? Even if the challengers and their beasts calculated until they died, they would still not be able to calculate it. They did not understand the method. They did not understand the technique. They did not have enough intelligence. In front of these questions, they could only lament their inadequacy. Even if they had passed the previous tests, in front of these strange tests, the challengers would not be able to do anything. The stone-pushing field also had easier tests. For example, multiply a certain number by 8 and add 9 equals 9876544321. Ask what is this number. However, even if they passed this test, they would only receive an evaluation of basic intelligence. The rules of the Beast Valley would not give them any rewards. If they wanted to receive rewards, they had to challenge the 10 difficult questions. Among them, wind, fire, water, and earth was the easiest of the 10 difficult questions. Some challengers had calculated it, but it had never been made public. It had always been the secret of the Beast Valley. Among the top 10 problems, the most difficult one was to push a rock. On the surface, the question was very simple. Give the beast 20 round stones, and ask the beast to push the round stones. Every 4 round stones would be arranged in a straight line. At the very least, the 20 stones had to be arranged in 16 rows. 16 lines was the basic requirement. If he could get 18 lines, then the reward of the law of Beast Valley would be doubled. If he could get 20 lines, then the reward of the law of Beast Valley would be the light of wisdom enlightenment. If he could get more than 20 lines, then the reward would be the light of God enlightenment. It was just that this attractive reward had never been met since the Beast Valley was established. Just like the second stage's Beast Cannonball, this rock-pushing stage had become a death stage for thousands of years. Anyone at any time could try. There was no penalty for failure, and there was no death. However, no one was able to pass this test. Don't be in a hurry to challenge rock-pushing stage. There are no restrictions on that. We could try other challenges first. For example, I know the answer to the question of doubling the amount of money a month. Long Ma and Itachi Scythe were the most excited witnesses. Actually, it wasn't just them. There were also many other beasts who had witnessed Yu Yang's 10,000-year unbroken record on the Beast Cannonball. They had also gathered outside the stone-pushing field, hoping to be the first to hear the good news. I think it's better to let her try it herself. Yu Yang smiled slightly. He did not accept Long Ma's good intentions, but let the Reaper Mantis calculate it herself. Yes. The Reaper Mantis knew that her master had an answer given by the human-faced tiger, but she did not look at it. Instead, she opened up her own intelligence to try to think and calculate. 1 gold a day, double the amount on the second day. How much gold would she get in a month? The Reaper Mantis picked up a withered branch with her small hands and started calculating on the ground. At first, her calculation speed was very fast, and many magical beasts and residents were ashamed of their inferiority when they saw it. Gradually, her calculation speed slowed down. In order to be accurate, she checked her calculations carefully, not letting any of the answers be wrong, and also consolidating the calculations of the next step. This kind of checking was something Yu Yang used to teach Yu Bing, Yu Shuang, and the others. She had learned it from him, but her mind was not open at that time. She could only remember her master's words, and only now did she gradually understand it. After calculating for around 10 minutes, she finally got the real answer. In order to ensure that she passed in one go, the Reaper Mantis checked her calculations again. In the end, she looked at Yu Yang. Under his smiling gaze, she flew into the rock-pushing stage and came to the testing monument. She pushed the round stone as 536870912. The testing monument immediately flashed with a bright light, indicating that the answer was correct. The challenger had passed the test. There was a thunderous applause. Some of the beasts outside were excited and anxious. They couldn't see the answer from outside, and they couldn't understand the calculation method of the Reaper Mantis on the ground. They could only clap vigorously while looking left and right, hoping that someone who knew the answer would tell them the answer and help them. The losers who couldn't pass the test feel regret. Those who knew the answer snorted. Who would tell them the answer? If they had the ability, go and calculate it yourself. The successful passing of the first question greatly encouraged the Reaper Mantis. If she wasn't being cautious, she would probably be able to calculate the answer in less than 5 minutes. However, it wasn't too bad now. There were so many challengers, no matter if they had succeeded or failed, they all knew that this question was actually not easy to calculate. It was said that there was a guy who used 100 years' time to use the dumbest superposition method to accumulate the answer bit by bit. The difference between 100 years and 10 minutes was the difference in intelligence. Although not everyone used 100 years, it was a beast. In the entire Beast Valley, there was no need for a master. The number of people who could calculate this question could be counted with one hand. Do your best. The Reaper Mantis sister who successfully took the first step clenched her fists excitedly. The rest of the morning was her time to perform. One after another, the questions that the residents of the Beast Valley thought were impossible to calculate were successfully solved by her. One after another, difficult questions were solved with her hard work. Every time the onlookers and residents saw the little one succeed, they would applaud crazily. In the end, they would even shout crazily to cheer her on. The Reaper Mantis sister's goal was no longer simple questions. What she wanted to do was to solve the 10 difficult questions. The wind, fire, water, earth questions that had blocked countless challengers for thousands of years were finally solved by the Reaper Mantis after 2 hours of thinking and calculation. She flew into the testing monument. The crowd saw a ray of golden light shooting up to the sky and lingering for a long time. This was the special phenomenon of solving the 10 difficult questions. The spectators who thought that the little one would be defeated were completely convinced. Among the residents of the Beast Valley, the wind, fire, water, and earth were questions with a bounty of 1 million gold. Unfortunately, those who knew the answer were never willing to sell it. Who would have thought that, without the master's effort, the beast's own efforts would be able to successfully solve the 10 difficult problems that even the elite challengers were unable to solve? Although it was a holy beast, wasn't this little one too smart? Woo-woo! The Reaper Mantis flew out and pounced into Yu Yang's arms, crying tears of joy. The more she thought in the test, the faster her brain power improved. This was a formless growth. When she thought back to Yu Yang's usual teachings, and remembered how he was able to break through the barriers and seek knowledge on extremely difficult things just now, she couldn't help but tear up. Rather than saying that this was her wisdom, it would be better to say that it was her master's nurturing. Outsiders might not understand, but she knew what her master had given to her. Yu Yang stretched out his hand and caressed her little head. Good girl, don't cry. You've done very well. Furthermore, these tests are actually not that difficult. If not for the fact that we were pressed for time, I completely believe that you could have completed all of them by yourself. If Yu Yang hadn't displayed such an abnormal ability in the Beast Cannonball, then he would definitely be booed to death. Could the 10 difficult questions be simple? If these were simple tests, then there wouldn't be anything difficult in this world. However, no one in the crowd dared to doubt the words of an abnormal person who could clear all the tests in one shot with the Beast Cannon. This brat was a monster. Maybe to him, the 10 difficult questions were very simple. Although they did not completely believe him, the surrounding beasts and residents did not dare to object. Everyone was watching quietly. Only the dragon horse, Itachi's scythe, and the silent, poisonous Wasp King had firm confidence in Yu Yang. The three of them believed that Yu Yang would definitely not brag about such things. He would only say that because he was 100% confident. Remember the questions and do them slowly in the future. We don't have much time now. Let's try to finish them in the afternoon. We still have special training plans at night. Yu Yang stood up and stretched his body. He sent a secret command to the Reaper Mantis. The Reaper Mantis did not understand at all. However, when she flew into the stone-pushing field and placed the correct answers according to Yu Yang's instructions, a golden light immediately rose. When she flew back, Yu Yang sent out a second secret order, as if he didn't need to think at all. Another golden light rose. Everyone looked at Yu Yang as if they were looking at a monster. It was not that they had not seen abnormal people before, but they had never seen a person as abnormal as Yu Yang. The 10 difficult questions were easier than eating beans to him. The surrounding people realized that if it wasn't for the time difference between the Reaper Mantis flying in and out, this brat could have passed all the answers in one go and made the golden light rise at the same time. It would be better if he had been calculating the whole morning. However, he was not. This brat had been sleeping the whole morning. Even the 10 difficult questions were told to him by the dragon horse and Itachi, scythe, not long ago. What kind of brain and intelligence did he need to reach such a level? Was he still human? He was simply a god. No, he was even more monstrous than the legendary gods. If it was possible, the surrounding beasts really wanted to open up Yu Yang's brain to see if his internal structure was different from others. It was okay to have a difference in intelligence, but it shouldn't be that big, right? If that was the case, what would happen to those who thought they were smart in the future? This kind of defeat in intelligence was a permanent injury. They would probably live in shadow for the rest of their lives, never to be cured. I give up. Eagle King's face was full of tears. It was really infuriating to compare oneself with others. It was fine if the beast was smart, but the master was even smarter. How could he live like this? Long live. The dragon horse and Itachi's scythe were so excited that they almost fainted. They had never been so lucky in their lives to decide to follow this young man to pass the test. Only the poisonous Wasp King remained calm. In order not to expose the secret relationship between it and Yu Yang, it deliberately looked on coldly. The other beastmen and residents had already gone crazy. They shouted together, "Push the stone, push the stone, push the stone, push the stone." Yu Yang's confident smile was like the sun. All the beastmen and residents who saw this smile were excited. At this moment, no one saw Yu Yang as an enemy. They felt that he was their pride. Seeing that he was going to break another record, everyone was extremely moved. The record could not be broken by themselves, but it did not matter. It was broken in front of them. The young man who was going to break another record was standing right in front of them. When Yu Yang raised his hand, the whole place became silent. Everyone held their breath. They were afraid that if they breathed lightly, they would ruin the whole process of pushing the stone. After receiving Yu Yang's secret command, the Reaper Mantis's face was shining with excitement. She intentionally flew 3 more rounds in order to vent the excitement in her heart. When she gracefully danced down from the sky, the 20 round stones were mysteriously pulled into position, arranging them into a wonderful pattern. Immediately, the entire stone-pushing field was filled with a ray of golden light. This was not the end. The Reaper Mantis, under Yu Yang's command, continued to position the round stones. After the 16 round stone pattern was completed, the beautiful 18 round stone pattern was displayed in the stone-pushing field. For the second time, the golden light filled the entire stone-pushing field. 2020. Everyone was roaring, hoping that Yu Yang would continue to break the unbreakable record, lay out 20 lines of the pattern, and achieve the reward of the light of wisdom. As soon as Yu Yang raised his hand, the roars of all the spectators immediately became as sharp as knives. Even their excited gasps were suppressed. Everyone was waiting and watching Yu Yang's hands. Under his guidance, another record that was said to be unbreakable throughout the ages would be turned into dust and become history. Witnessing history, witnessing miracles, and it was not the first time. Yesterday, today, and maybe tomorrow they would continue to witness the miracles created by this young man. Chapter 870. When the Reaper Mantis was bathed in the light of the law reward, everyone was cheering. Eagle King lost control of his voice and asked, You, how did you do it? Yu Yang did not answer and only smiled. How was he going to tell it? Was Yu Yang going to tell it that he had seen similar questions in the interesting mathematics and world number problems books before he transmigrated? Moreover, with the knowledge he had inherited and the intelligence he had gained from peeking in the God realm, it was a piece of cake for him to solve these questions. As the beastmen and residents were too crazy, Yu Yang could not handle them and had to return to the grimoire world for a while to calm down. This way, they could have the time to vent the excitement in their hearts. Otherwise, if this continued, they would go crazy. The most important thing was that the Reaper Mantis, who had been showered in the stone-pushing field's law and received enlightenment from the sky god's radiance, was about to evolve again. She needed some time to adapt, to integrate the newly developed wisdom and digest the newly awakened abilities. With her rebirth in the Beast Valley, becoming a saint, and now being bathed in the divine light, the Reaper Mantis was undoubtedly the luckiest one. In fact, it had always been like this since she was born. Many of her siblings' eggs were broken, and only she had successfully hatched. Originally, with her qualifications, she would not be able to become a saint, even if Yu Yang tried his best to nurture her. However, at the most difficult time, she ushered in the happiest time of her life. She entered the Beast Valley, was reborn, and started all over again. All her previous efforts turned into potential, and with her master's careful nurturing, she became a holy beast effortlessly. What was even more fortunate was that the first person that Yu Yang wanted to nurture in the Beast Valley was not her, but the spirit of Heaven Fire. Because of the Desire Valley, the spirit of Heaven Fire somehow absorbed the disaster divine power and the source of the world, and fell into a deep sleep, which coincidentally created a new her. If this was not luck, then what was it? When the Reaper Mantis sister fell into a short sleep, her face was still covered with tears of joy, like a white pear flower wet with rain. Beast Valley, stone-pushing field. A portion of the beastmen and residents had already left to report to their master. Most of them stayed where they were, discussing the various exciting miracles that had just happened. What surprised them the most was that Yu Yang actually announced the answer in front of everyone. Although the best light of wisdom and radiance of the sky god could only be obtained once by the Reaper Mantis, and the subsequent challengers would never be able to obtain the same reward, the announcement of the answer made many people who had been regretting it for thousands of years sigh that they had no more regrets in their lives. At least, they knew the answer. If there were more challengers later, they could also use this as a condition to clear the stage and sell it at a high price in exchange for what they needed. Regardless of the reward, passing the test was still a must. With the answer in hand, there was no need to worry that no one would make a bid. Just as the magical beasts and the residents were excitedly studying the answers that Yu Yang had announced, a dark cloud suddenly floated over and covered the sky. The Hawk King and the Venomous Wasp King stopped their research at the same time. Even the human-faced tiger who had just arrived was shocked. Even the slowest person would know that something was wrong. They raised their heads and looked at the sky. The Venomous Wasp King scanned the area, trying to find something wrong. The human-faced tiger clenched his fists tightly, his eyes glinting fiercely. This is very similar to Ji Wuri's descent of the Black Sun. Looks like it's those fellows from the Central Shrine. The Hawk King was stunned, but Ji Wuri has already left. Not only Ji Wuri, even Zhong Hua has already left. The human-faced tiger sneered. They have indeed left, but there are still the two palace masters, Burning Wind and 1MO Hawk, Wasp. Haven't the two of you realized something? What a good plan. You mean? Someone wants to make a move on us? The Venomous Wasp King frowned. Who is it? The Hawk King was shocked. Who isn't there? The human-faced tiger gritted his teeth and snorted angrily. Today is the day of the stone-pushing ground's miracle. The three leaders of the residents actually didn't come to watch. Among the 5 major beast kings, only the 3 of us are here. To be honest, I was also a little hesitant at the start. I felt that something was wrong. When I successfully cleared the stage without any hindrance, I became even more uneasy. I didn't expect that it was really like this. Once Titan Yu and his beast left, we, who had the intention to ally with him, immediately fell into a trap. You mean Boss Lion King? It can't be. He is a conservative and never had the ambition to expand. The Hawk King still didn't dare to believe it. The Lion King is indeed a conservative, but he won't just watch us rise. Today, even if he didn't have a part in this, he would at least allow it. We are in trouble. If we don't cooperate sincerely, I believe that the people from the Central Shrine will catch us all and become their energy to rise. The human-faced tiger said solemnly. Tell me, what should we do? The venomous Wasp King decided to listen to the human-faced tiger's opinion. Can't we retreat immediately? The Hawk King was shocked. If it was you, would you let the enemy escape easily after setting a big trap? The sky darkened. It was the Black Sun beast that Ji Wuri left behind. After he cleared the stage in the Beast Valley, he didn't take it with him. Instead, he left it for Burning Wind and Wan Mo. If it wasn't like that, would the Lion King avoid it? If it wasn't like that, would that toad dare to be so arrogant? The human-faced tiger was very smart. After some calculations, he immediately grasped the crux of the problem. All right. Behind a distant rock, an ugly head peeked out. That was the Toad King. Even though he died once from the beast cannonball, the Toad King was still an inhabitant and had one chance to survive. His attitude was just like what the human-faced tiger said, arrogant and domineering. He stood on top of the toad's head and clapped his hands. As expected of the smartest human-faced tiger, you hit the nail on the head. Seeing the Toad King appear, many beastmen and inhabitants turned pale in fright. This toad wasn't the scariest. The scariest was Ji Wuri's beast, Black Sun. Because Ji Wuri needed to nurture this beast, who knew how many beastmen and inhabitants it had devoured. If the people from the Central Shrine had really joined hands with the Toad King, with the Toad King leading the way, the Beast Valley would probably be plunged into a bloody storm. The Toad King waved his hands forcefully. All of you scram. I have no interest in fighting with small fries like you. Many beastmen and inhabitants heard this. It was as if they had been pardoned. He immediately flew up and fled in all directions in a sorry state, wishing that he could grow 2 more legs. The dragon horse and the ferret scythe were very smart. When they heard the conversation between the human-faced tiger and the eagle king, they realized that the situation was bad. Seeing the beasts fleeing in disorder, they immediately shouted, "Everyone, don't panic. If we do this, we will fall into the enemy's trap. If we want to live, we must unite and stay by the 3 leaders' side. We must join hands with the 3 leaders to resist the enemy. Otherwise, with our individual strength, we won't be able to resist the Black Sun. Moreover, with the Toad King leading the way, where can we escape to?" Hearing the 2 shouts, some of the more rational beastmen and inhabitants understood. Many people immediately returned to the dragon horse and the ferret scythe. There were also some who were hesitating. Most of the beastmen and inhabitants still believed in the Toad King's words. They wanted to take advantage of the chaos to escape. The dark clouds retreated. An incomparably huge black sun drilled out, shining with an incomparably strange and terrifying black light. This wasn't a real sun, but the beast Black Sun that Ji Wuri had nurtured. Black Sun, Heaven Stage Level 8, Special Type Giant Beast. Spherical, with a circumference of 5,000 meters. It has the ability to operate independently and absorb all energy and light. Its combat height is 10,000 meters. Within its body, there is a Heaven Stage Level 5 Dark Cloud Special Support Type Beast. Special skills: Weathering, Drying, Scorched Earth, Death Ray, Dark Cloud Covering the Sun, Energy Devouring Light Wave, Black Death Tide, Weeping Blood Rain Flying Flower. Of course, the terrifying Black Sun couldn't be nurtured in the Beast Valley in a few months. Even Ji Wuri couldn't do it. In fact, this wasn't the first time Ji Wuri had stepped into the Beast Valley. In the past, he had entered the trial grounds many times to kill Captain Cook, who had gone against the central shrine. Black Sun was a beast that he had nurtured the first time he entered. After thousands of years of growth, it had already reached the terrifying realm of Heaven Stage Level 8. Although it wasn't an intelligent type and wasn't a holy beast, its unlimited strength made it invincible in the Beast Valley. Of course, among the many beasts that Jiwuri had, it was the weakest one. In order to protect the lives of his subordinates and allow Burning Wind and one MO to pass the trial smoothly, Jiwuri left it behind. Zzz. The black sun suddenly erupted with an extremely dazzling black light. The world was completely filled with this terrifying light. No one could open their eyes, or even if they could open their eyes, they would become blind in this sea of black light. Thousands of light pillars shot out from the surface of the black sun. Those beasts that were fleeing in panic, as well as the beasts of the residents, would die under the black light pillars that were as dense as rain. Less than half of them could avoid the black sun, the black tide of death. The dragon horse and the scythe ferret dodged several light pillars. The rhinoceros, whose movements were slightly slower, was grazed by the light pillars and vaporized immediately. There was no way for it to resist. If the short-tailed cat hadn't pushed the rhinoceros at the most critical moment, and the ferret's scythe had helped, the rhinoceros would have been killed on the spot. The black tide of death that erupted from the black sun was not something that could be resisted by physical defense. A war beast of Heaven Stage Level 8, not to mention a super huge special type war beast like the Black Sun, could easily kill the magical beasts in the Beast Valley. Of course, beasts like the Black Sun that could instantly kill the entire battlefield were rare in the Heaven Realm. It was personally cultivated by Jiwuri. Naturally, it was extraordinary. If you think that you can kill us like this, then it's too laughable. Eagle King was furious. Who didn't have a life-saving trump card? He was a king after all. Is that so? I know, Eagle King, you have decent strength, but if you think that I only have this move, then you are wrong, very wrong. Please come out. The trap has been laid. The prey has taken the bait. Please enjoy this feast of death. Toad King bowed respectfully. In front of him, there were already more than 10 terrifying shadows. Chapter 871. Out of the dozen shadows, a few stayed where they were, while a few disappeared instantly. In the sky, a dark cloud rolled down as if it had a life of its own. It engulfed the entire land. Everything was shrouded by the dark cloud. Even Eagle King, who had supervision, couldn't see his fingers in front of him. Countless beasts and residents who had narrowly escaped the Black Sun's black tide of death were suddenly attacked by the dark cloud when they were on the brink of death. In the darkness where there was no light, screams rang out one after another. The human-faced tiger shot out a ball of energy. The energy ball shone for a few seconds in the dark world that was shrouded by the dark cloud. However, the black sun in the sky shot out a huge ball of black light, swallowing the energy ball that the human-faced tiger shot out. The world fell into darkness once again. The smart draconic horse and Itachi scythe managed to bring Rhinoceros, Short-tailed Cat, and the others to the side of the three leaders, Human-faced Tiger, Venomous Wasp King, and Eagle King. At this moment, staying with the three leaders was undoubtedly the safest. If they were alone, they would probably follow in the footsteps of those who had died. Move to the east. The situation was extremely grim. Eagle King made a decision without hesitation. I'll cover. Human-faced Tiger and Poisonous Bee King also felt that heading east was a good choice. 3,000 meters to the east, there was a pond filled with clear water. That was for aquatic beasts to moisten their bodies. The black sun was the strongest in the sky. When it shone on the ground, it was almost invincible. There was no way to fight against it. The only possibility was to enter the water. No matter what kind of light it was, once it entered the water, it would be refracted and its power would be greatly reduced. If they could escape to the east side of the pond and make the strongest black sun lose its ability to attack, then they would still have a chance to protect themselves. Toad King naturally heard the conversation between Eagle King and Human-faced Tiger. He laughed crazily. Good, what a smart idea. I really want to clap my hands. The problem is, can you guys escape to the pond that is 3,000 meters away? Under the black tide of death, under the light of death, you guys are all dregs. Haha, run for your lives. Let out pitiful cries and run for your lives painfully. The way to live is right in front of you. I will cheer for you guys. I hope that you guys have already successfully escaped into the pond after I kill all the remaining people. The Eagle King was so angry that his lungs were about to explode, but there was nothing he could say. Although it could not see the people, it could feel that there were two super powerful creatures in front of it. Although they couldn't compare to Black Sun, they weren't ordinary either. If he was not wrong, this should be the beast that the two Central Palace Masters, Burning Wind and Wan Mo, had nurtured. They were the Inferno Tyrant and the Golden Goo Worm King. Not only did these two war beasts have a certain level of intelligence, they were also at Heaven Stage Level 6. The Eagle King was sure that if it were to fight one-on-one, it would be hard for it to deal with one of them. If both of them were to attack together, it would most likely be a disaster. The human-faced tiger had the same feeling. It, who was supposed to cover the rear, felt a sense of foreboding. Other than the Inferno Tyrant and the Golden Venomous Worm King, there were also several powerful beasts that were quietly surrounding them. Their abilities were not considered very strong. They only had the Black Sun and dark clouds in the distance, and the Inferno Tyrant and the Golden Goo King in the near distance. They were already at the limit of the limit. With the addition of the few of them, it would definitely be even more difficult to deal with them. What to do? Someone had to stand up and block the first wave of attacks so that more people could escape. If everyone relied on each other, the result would be total annihilation. What worried the human-faced tiger the most was the silent bomb, the poisonous bee king. If he had to choose the scariest one among the 5 beast kings, the human-faced tiger would definitely not choose the lion king or the toad king, but the poisonous bee king. It was the most ruthless, and self-centered existence in the entire Beast Valley. It didn't trust anyone the most. Even among its subordinates, not many were truly loyal to the poisonous bee king. That was because it would never truly trust anyone. For a person like the poisonous bee king, if it was said that it had no connection with the toad king, the human-faced tiger would never believe it. What if the poisonous bee king was a chess piece buried in the group? It would be over. The human-faced tiger could trust the Eagle King or anyone else, but it didn't dare to trust the poisonous bee king. Now, someone has to stand up and join hands with me to resist the enemy. You guys also need to leave 2 or 3 people behind to help us. The human-faced tiger swallowed his saliva with difficulty. He was secretly on guard against the poisonous bee king, as he suggested. Those with special skills are prioritized. This, if it was a normal battle, many people would take the initiative to stand up. But now, staying behind to resist the enemy and letting their companions escape was equivalent to a dead end. The problem was, if no one stayed behind to resist the enemy, then the entire army would be annihilated. That was an even worse outcome. The Eagle King also swallowed nervously. Its rationality told it to stay behind, but the shadow of death shook its will. No one wanted to die. Under such circumstances, everyone wanted to escape. Even the Eagle King was no exception. The Beast Valley was never a place to display greatness. On the contrary, it had always been a gathering place for selfish people. No one trusted anyone else. No one was willing to sacrifice themselves for others. The 3 kings didn't speak. The dragon horse and the Itachi scythe felt that the air was even more suffocating than death. The enemy was slowly closing in. Those companions that escaped were killed by the Black Sun one by one and devoured by the darkness one by one. The magical beasts and residents that escaped alone were probably all dead. When the Black Sun killed those that escaped and turned around, it would be their time of death. The short-tailed cat, rhinoceros, and a dozen magical beasts and residents gathered together were all silent. No one dared to say that they would stay behind. The poisonous bee king suddenly coughed. Someone has to stay behind. I'll stay behind. Well, what? The human-faced tiger was shocked. Actually, it was waiting for the Eagle King to say something, not the poisonous bee king's stance. In its heart, it would be good if the poisonous bee king didn't immediately go over to the toad king's side and attack it. Who knew that the poisonous bee king would actually say that they would stay behind to resist the enemy? It really couldn't believe its ears. This can't be real, right? Bee, you really decided to stay behind? The Eagle King's shock was no less than that of the human-faced tiger. I know. Actually, everyone is a little afraid of me and thinks that I might be a traitor. Maybe in the past, I was a little unscrupulous, but now we are at death's door. Maybe we will die in the next moment and become nourishment for other people's beasts. Why are we still fighting among ourselves? There's no meaning at all. Why should I stay behind? It's not because of greatness and sacrifice, but a necessary choice. I need to defend and face the enemy's attacks. You guys need to retreat and face the enemy at the same time. It's just that your battles will be closer to the pond. I don't mind fighting there. On the other hand, the tiger that is familiar with water battles can display more power at the pond. Furthermore, the most important thing is that the golden goo worm king is an insect beast, so it's easier for me to restrain it. Tiger and eagle, it will be very difficult for you guys to fight against each other. Therefore, no matter what, I will stay behind. The poisonous bee king's words made the human-faced tiger and eagle king both shocked and touched. Who would have thought that at the moment of life and death, the most selfish poisonous bee king would actually stand up and fight for everyone? The lion king, who had always been everyone's protective umbrella, actually hid himself and disappeared. The human-faced tiger felt its eyes becoming hot. It really wanted to apologize. If it knew that the poisonous bee king had such courage and breadth of mind, it would have sincerely befriended the poisonous bee king a long time ago. Just now, it was still suspecting whether the poisonous bee king was a traitor and wanted to launch a sneak attack early. Now, compared to it, the human-faced tiger felt ashamed. He was a real man. He couldn't even compare to a selfish woman like the poisonous bee king. The eagle king also felt his heart warm up and blurted out, "Bee, I will stay behind too. I will defend against the enemy with you. Let the tiger lead everyone and leave. My life will accompany you to the end. If I don't die, I am willing to be your friend, a true friend. We will never be on guard against each other or fight among ourselves in the future." The poisonous bee king rejected the eagle king's request. "I understand your good intentions, but the retreating team needs someone to open up a path and cover the back. You and the tiger, who are the leaders, are the best candidates. Don't waste time. Let's set off immediately. If someone is willing to stay behind, I really need 2 or 3 companions to help me intercept the enemy. I can only temporarily restrain the golden goo worm king and the inferno tyrant. I hope someone will stand up and intercept the beast behind." The Itachi scythe was so excited that he couldn't suppress it anymore. Its emotions erupted like a volcano, giving it the urge to vent its unhappiness. People like me are tired of living. It doesn't matter if I die sooner or later. As a man, I would rather die in battle than be scared to death. Count me in as one of the people who will stay. The dragon horse had lived in the Beast Valley for thousands of years. This was the first time it felt a surge of warmth in its heart. Before the Itachi scythe spoke, it was still a little hesitant. No matter what, it was still a resident. There might still be a chance if it was alive. But when the Itachi scythe roared, it felt the blood in its body boiling. It also stood up and shouted, "That's right, life or death. Let the heavens decide. If you want my life, you can, but you have to pay a price." Other than the dragon horse and the Itachi scythe, the rhinoceros and the short-tailed cat also clamored to stay behind. At this moment, everyone seemed to have forgotten that the way of survival in the Beast Valley was selfishness. They seemed to have forgotten. Once they were killed, they would truly die. After a short and intense argument, it was decided that the poisonous bee king, the dragon horse, and the Itachi scythe would stay behind to block the enemy. The remaining dozen or so magical orcs, under the leadership of the Eagle King and the human-faced tiger, quickly fled to the pond. Once the human-faced tiger reached the pond, he immediately used the wavy slide and whirlpool return to rescue the poisonous bee king, the dragon horse, and the Itachi scythe from danger. I already know your escape plan. It's very good, but have you decided to stay behind to block the enemy? Ha ha, I was wrong. I really shouldn't have asked you such retarded questions. Everyone knows that the people in the Beast Valley are the most selfish and afraid of death. Huh, do you know why I am stronger than you? Why I can kill you, but you can only wail like pitiful worms? The reason is very simple. It's because I am very smart. I know how to form alliances and find friends to cooperate with. Unlike you guys who naively think that by protecting yourselves, you can live a little longer. Haha, it's really ironic. People who want to live a little longer, people who don't trust others, ultimately cause their own deaths because they don't have friends. The Toad King, who had participated in the massacre just now, was now back in high spirits. It didn't know that in just a few short minutes. The Eagle King, the human-faced tiger, the poisonous bee king, as well as the remaining magical orcs and residents, had already undergone a completely different change. With the Toad King's past experience, not to mention that it didn't hear the conversation, even if it heard it, it probably wouldn't believe that it was true. Were there really fools who would sacrifice themselves for others in the Beast Valley? If it was true, they would have all died thousands of years ago, right? Chapter 872. Boom Boom Boom. The Inferno Tyrant and the Golden Goo Bug King took turns to attack. After a series of heavy attacks, the Poisonous Wasp King struggled to hold on. It was in danger of being defeated at any time. On the other side, the Draconic Horse and the Weasel Scythe, who were responsible for staying behind to defend against the enemies, were also being beaten back by the Giant Bear, the two Golden Apes. They had no strength to fight back at all. Let's go. The human-faced tiger suppressed the desire in its eyes and pounced toward the toad in a frenzy. Follow me. The Eagle King also understood that if he didn't act decisively now, the Poison Wasp King, Dragon Horse, and Itachi Scythe would all be sacrificed in vain. It soared into the sky. The moment the human-faced tiger blocked the Toad King, the flame claw danced up and down. Even the Toad King, who fought as one with the toad, had no choice but to temporarily retreat when faced with the Eagle King who was attacking with all his might. The human-faced tiger acted according to the temporary plan that they had discussed earlier. He bounced backward and broke through the encirclement of the Toad King's subordinates. He led the short-tailed cat, rhinoceros, and other teammates that had temporarily united together and rushed toward the pond in the distance. If the wavy slide and whirlpool return could be used in time, then the Eagle King would definitely be saved. As for the venomous bee king, the dragon horse, and the ferret scythe, the odds were against them under the interception of the Inferno Tyrant, the golden goo bug king, and the Toad King. Hurry up! The human-faced tiger forcefully knocked away several intercepting shadows. While covering the retreat of his companions, he leaped high into the air. While dodging the Black Sun's death ray, he plunged into the pond that concerned everyone's safety. The will to survive allowed the human-faced tiger to erupt with power and speed that it didn't have before. Boom! It crashed into the pond, and no one had time to stop it. However, what scared the human-faced tiger out of his wits was that there was not a single drop of water left in the huge pond that was originally filled with water. The bottom of the pond was dry and cracked, as if it had been exposed to the sun for months. The human-faced tiger knew how powerful Black Sun was, but he had never imagined that it had the terrifying ability to instantly dry up a pond. Without water, the human-faced tiger couldn't use the wave slide, much less use the vortex return. The human-faced tiger, whose head was covered in sand, found himself in the middle of a dried-up pond. Dried up and cracked, the fish in the pond had turned into white bones. There was not a drop of water around. The human-faced tiger, who was battered and indignant, could not help but howl at the sky. Heavens, this was too cruel. The pond that held everyone's lives had actually dried up. Without the wave slides and whirlpools to return, wouldn't they all be annihilated? Ah, what a fool. The Toad King let out a vomit-inducing laughter and mocked complacently. Now, you should understand, right? The little bug was destined to be unable to fight against the strong. No matter how cunning or stubborn it was of no use. Strength decides everything. In front of Hey and the two palace masters war beasts, all your little tricks are so laughable. Cry, this is the only thing you can do before you die. I will kill you. The human-faced tiger wanted to tear the Toad King apart. Let's go. Hurry up and leave. I'll go save Wasp. Every single one that escapes counts. Eagle King emerged from the dark clouds and instantly understood how the human-faced tiger felt. I'll cover. The human-faced tiger's right-hand man, the loyal old official, the lightning claw cuttlefish, rushed ahead of the human-faced tiger and pounced towards the Toad King. However, the difference in strength between him and the Toad King was too great. With just one attack, the Toad King was heavily injured and retreated. The human-faced tiger's eyes were filled with tears as he supported his old subordinate. He clenched his fists and glared at the Toad King. He gritted his teeth and said ruthlessly, I'm not leaving. I'll fight this toad to death. If you don't want to leave, then come along. Before you die, you must at least take a bite of this toad's meat. All right. The lightning claw cuttlefish's 8 tentacles instantly attacked and tightly wrapped around the human-faced tiger's body. The electric light on his body flickered. The human-faced tiger was stunned. The strong electric current on his body caused the human-faced tiger's skin to quickly turn black. The pain on his body couldn't suppress the human-faced tiger's shock and pain. The human-faced tiger roared angrily. So, the traitor hidden in our group is you. Why? How many years has it been? I've treated you like a brother and shared everything with you. Yet, you repay me with betrayal? A cold and oppressive sword of ice swiftly pierced over. From front to back, the sword easily pierced through the human-faced tiger's heart. The Toad King, who was one with the toad, transformed into a human and attacked with a sword. He laughed heartily. Fool, I really suspect that you've wasted your years in the Beast Valley. With your childishness, how did you manage to survive until now? I'm really curious. No matter how well you treat the cuttlefish, it's still your subordinate. No matter how many things you give it, it's only after you've picked out the best things. And it can never be the same. You're one of the 5 great leaders, and it's just your assistant. In ugly words, it's just a lackey. Do you think it's willing to be a lackey? Especially someone like it who has accumulated strength for thousands of years. Do you think it'll really be satisfied with its current situation? Let me tell you, Tiger, you'll never understand why your subordinate would betray you. That's because you've underestimated the enterprising spirit of small fry. When it has a chance to rise, it won't hesitate to betray you. As long as it abandons its past, it'll have a future. Tiger, you might not believe me, but I'll tell you the truth. The cuttlefish took the initiative to find me. It was also the one who came up with the plan. Otherwise, how would we know about your wavy slide and whirlpool return skills? How would you have dried up the pond beforehand? The human-faced tiger turned its head and glared at the lightning claw cuttlefish. The cold from the sword of ice spread from its heart. In a few seconds, the human-faced tiger turned into an ice sculpture. The lightning claw cuttlefish expressionlessly shot out 8 lightning bolts at the ice sculpture. The entire body of the human-faced tiger was shattered by the strong electric currents and lightning bolts. All that was left was a head that died with its eyes wide open. The head rolled on the ground. It rolled all the way to the feet of the Eagle King. Tiger. When the Eagle King saw the human-faced tiger's end, it couldn't help but howl at the sky. I'll definitely kill the toad and cuttlefish to take revenge for you. Shameless boasting. You can't even protect yourself, and you still dare to spout such nonsense? The Toad King waved the terrifying ice sword and joined hands with the lightning claw cuttlefish to attack the Eagle King again. The Eagle King soared into the sky amidst dozens of attacks. It forcefully withstood a death ray from the black sun, and its feathers flew for a long time. However, the heavily injured Eagle King quickly escaped from the stone-pushing field amidst mournful cries. With the heaven-soaring skill, it was almost impossible to take its life if it couldn't be killed in one move. Of course, the biggest target of the Toad King's plan wasn't the Eagle King, but the venomous Bee King. After all, the Eagle King was the weakest among the 5 leaders. It also had an extremely powerful escaping skill. It wasn't wise to focus the attack on it. After today's heavy injuries, the Eagle King would probably need a long time to recuperate. The Toad King didn't think that the Eagle King would have a chance to turn the tables. The real threat was instead the venomous Bee King who had killed it with one strike. Leave quickly. The dragon horse heavily struck the Itachi scythe's back, sending the Itachi scythe flying 1,000 meters away. Let's go together. The Itachi scythe, who was covered in blood, still wanted to rush back. However, the dragon horse's body exploded with a ray of light, and its speed instantly increased by 10 times. The unicorn Pegasus he was riding on had one of its legs broken because it had forcefully passed through the Black Death wave. Its body was also covered in cuts and bruises. A few black shadows attacked together and knocked down the heavily injured unicorn Pegasus. In the eyes of the Itachi scythe, who was flying backwards, the dying unicorn Pegasus let out a long neigh. When the black sun shot the death ray in the sky, it exploded and committed suicide. I am a resident. I still have one more chance to transform into a beast. You want to risk your life with me? Let's die together. The dragon horse roared crazily. The unicorn Pegasus, whose body had been pierced by the death ray, suddenly exploded. A destructive shockwave soared into the sky and formed a huge mushroom cloud. Lightning hissed, and an oppressive shockwave spread out the moment the few black figures that were attacking him panicked and fled. The shockwave was like a giant beast that had its mouth wide open, swallowing all the enemies that were running away. Rumble. In the empty space outside the stone-pushing field, a deep and sunken pit appeared. Within 1,000 meters, all living beings were dead. Someone's severed limb, dripping with blood, fell in front of the Toad King with a plop, giving this schemer a huge fright. Maybe it was afraid that the short-tailed cat and rhinoceros would also go crazy and self-destruct. At the same time, because of the unicorn Pegasus' self-destruction, it created a gap in the encirclement. The short-tailed cat and rhinoceros actually escaped. When the black sun released the death ray to chase after them, a crow flew out of nowhere and scattered its black feathers, blocking the fatal attack. Let them run. They can run today, but they can't run tomorrow. Let's take down the bees today. The Toad King hopped closer to the poisonous Bee King that was suppressed by the black sun, the Inferno Tyrant, and the Golden Goo Bug King. He waved the sword in his hand and attacked. I would rather die than surrender. The poisonous Bee King charged towards the Golden Goo Bug King, whose attributes were the most suppressed. It stung the Bug King's body fiercely. This was its most poisonous stinger. It was incurable. Of course, this absolute poison stinger was exchanged with its life. After stinging the stinger, no matter how injured the poisonous Bee King was, it would use up all the life force in its body. It was also destined that the stinger could not be retracted like usual. It would stay in the enemy's body forever. The Golden Goo Bug King screamed when the poisonous Bee King stung it with all its might. The Toad King was extremely ruthless. It waved its sword and chopped off the half of the Bug King's body that was stung. The half of the body that was frozen after being chopped off could still continue to be poisoned. It instantly turned as black as ink. If not for the Toad King having such a sharp weapon and being so ruthless, the Golden Goo Bug King would have perished together with the poisonous Bee King's dying strike. The Bug King was severely injured. It wailed and returned to its master, Wanmo's side. The Inferno Tyrant received a gem that shone like the sun from the Toad King and returned in satisfaction. He no longer looked at the poisonous Bee King that was slowly dying on the ground. Even a blind man could see that the poisonous Bee King was dead for sure. Its tail was completely broken off. The poisonous stinger was stuck on the half of the Bug King's body. Even the poisonous Bee King's tail was broken. However, the most fatal thing was not the injury. Instead, all the poisonous Bee King's power was lost in that stinger and turned into poison that could kill the enemy. It was a pity that the Toad King had the sword in his hand. The Golden Goo Bug King did not really die. The Sun Gem is in our hands. We will leave the valley now. A few of you should be fine, right? It doesn't matter if it takes a long time. After passing through the Beast Valley, you can return to the shrine directly. The next few stages are not something you can help with. Palace Master Burning Wind, who was hidden in the darkness, took the sun gem and nodded at the black sun in the sky. He disappeared from the stone-pushing field with one MO, the Inferno Tyrant, and the Golden Goo Bug King. "Are you from a central shrine?" the Poisonous Bee King asked weakly before it died. "I was in the past, but I'm smart and know how to adapt to the circumstances. I've gained the recognition of Lord G. Worry. In the future, I'll be the Deputy Palace Master of the Central Shrine stationed in the Beast Valley. Are you envious of me? Ha ha ha. With the support of the shrine and my status as a resident, I can leave the Beast Valley if my beasts develop intelligence. I will miss the foolish men and women who are buried in the Beast Valley." The Poisonous Bee King's pupils gradually dilated. It is already dead. It could no longer hear the Toad King's maniacal laughter. The laughter reverberated throughout the entire stone-pushing field. Contrasted with the corpses all over the ground, this arrogant laughter sounded especially ear-piercing. The whole plan was executed perfectly. Burning Wind and one MO, who had obtained the Sun Gem, would leave the Beast Valley and follow G. Worry to the next stage, the Demon Valley, to intercept the cunning Captain Cook. On the Demon Beast side, the human-faced tiger and the Poisonous Bee King died tragically on the spot. The Eagle King was heavily injured, leaving only the cowardly Lion King. On the resident side, Darius had already successfully killed the two leaders with the cooperation of the Black Sun, with the garrison Deputy Palace Master and 2 shrine elders, as well as the help of thousands of demon beasts and residents. How difficult would it be to dominate the Beast Valley and turn it into a division of the Central Shrine? Ha ha! The Toad King couldn't think of any reason not to laugh. "You seem to have forgotten someone?" Yu Yang couldn't help but remind him after waiting for a long time. Chapter 873. It's you? When the Toad King saw Yu Yang, it was stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. I didn't forget. Not only did I not forget you, I even specially designed a trap for you. If I didn't want to get the first kill reward for your beast, why would I need to give you the Sun Gem? If it wasn't for you, why would I need to borrow external help? Although your appearance disrupted my plans that have been going on for hundreds of years, it also made Burning Wind and one MO, the 2 Palace Masters, feel that there was an unstable factor, so they took the initiative to stay and clean up the Beast Valley. It can be said that thanks to you, I was able to enter the Central Shrine more smoothly. Do you want me to congratulate you? Yu Yang didn't seem to see the Deputy Palace Master who was one with the Giant Bear, and the 2 Palace Elders who were one with the Golden Ape, slowly approaching him. Of course I know that your beast is an elemental body and a holy beast with high intelligence. It's very hard to kill it. Of course I know that, so I specially prepared a feast for it. The Toad King laughed coldly as it waved its hands. Its subordinates that were close to 100 quickly formed an encirclement. Its loyal subordinates even took out a type of black scepter and stuck it into the ground, forming an extremely strange black energy field. In this energy field, everything seemed to slow down. Even the laughter became intermittent. Yu Yang didn't need to look to know that this was the Wind-Stop Runic Battle Formation. It was one of the 10 famous runic battle formations in Heaven Realm. It was also one of the trump cards of the Central Shrine's army. It was mostly used to surround and kill the enemy. The Wind-Stop Runic Battle Formation, unless the hidden energy core was destroyed, the people inside the formation would not be able to leave. In other words, the people who had the true Wind-Stop Runic Battle Formation's core crystal must be killed in order to successfully break the formation. Yu Yang looked at the Toad King. It was the only existence in the field that wasn't affected. The core crystal was naturally on its body. If he used Heaven Eye's divine vision, Yu Yang could see that in the Toad King's stomach there was a shining gem that was connected to the whole formation. To break the formation, he had to kill the Toad King. In the Wind-Stop Runic Battle Formation, where the movement was slowed down by nearly 10 times, killing the Toad King whose body was not affected by any side effects was really a difficult problem. The Giant Bear, which was one with the Garrison Deputy Hall Master, and the Golden Ape, which was one with the 2 Deputy Hall Masters, were not completely unaffected, but it was relatively mild. They all had black staffs or wind-stopping crystals on them. The effect of the battle formation on them was probably not more than 10 to 20%. Even further away, the loyal henchmen in the encirclement also had crystals on them. They were slightly more affected than the garrison deputy hall master and the others, but it was only 30%. They were not like Yu Yang and the Reaper Mantis, whose mobility was reduced by at least 10 times. If I can't kill her with the combination of the Frost Demon Sword and the Wind Stop Runic Battle Formation, then I still have a treasure that I've never shown to anyone. That is the Energy Absorbing Bracelet. The Toad King laughed wildly and put a colorful bracelet on the wrist that had turned into a human. The Energy Absorption Bracelet was also known as the Conversion Bracelet. It could absorb the enemy's elemental energy and slowly convert it into another type of energy. During the conversion process, the enemy would not be able to use elemental energy. Some elemental beasts that had their elemental energy converted would even die on the spot. If a flame guard's fire elemental energy was absorbed and converted into water elemental energy or ice elemental energy, then the flame guard would definitely explode and die without a need to fight. On the contrary, if an ice puppet's ice elemental energy was converted into fire elemental energy, it would also die. To some beasts and beasts that did not rely on elemental energy, the energy absorption bracelet was not very useful. After all, its conversion speed was too slow. However, to pure elemental beasts and beasts, this holy ranked energy absorption bracelet was the most terrifying existence in the world. In the heaven realm, the energy absorption bracelet was a treasure that would cause people to turn pale at the mention of it. Most of the time, it was also called the Elemental Calamity Bracelet by the Heaven Realm warriors. The Reaper Mantis sister, who had been reborn and converted into an elemental body, would definitely have a headache against such a treasure. If it wasn't for the restrictions of the Wind Stop Runic Battle Formation, she could still fight back and forth or retreat. Now that she was trapped in the Wind Stop Runic Battle Formation and met with this energy absorption bracelet, as well as an extremely sharp and destructive ice frost demon sword, it had to be said that under the Toad King's calculations, Yu Yang had met with a thorny problem. Do you know why I didn't come to the stone-pushing field to stop you from getting the law's reward? Ha ha ha, because the more rewards that holy beast of yours gets, the more energy I would get after I kill it. This is the best way to groom it. When one's level, strength, and intelligence have reached a certain level, there would be no use no matter how many there are. If I kill 100, no, even if I kill 1,000 beasts, the rewards I would get would not be as good as killing that little holy beast of yours. Do you know how long I have waited for this moment? Do you know how much effort I have put into setting up this perfect plan today? I have put so much thought into it. If the heavens don't reward me after I've done so much, then is there still justice in this world? The Toad King patted his belly, letting out a laughter that made one's hair stand on end. Yu Yang frowned, sweeping his gaze across his surroundings. He seemed to be looking for an opportunity to escape. However, the Toad King was very calm. He clicked his tongue and shook his ugly finger. Stop dreaming. In the Wind Stop Runic Battle Formation, apart from killing me, you will never be able to successfully escape. I can intercept you at any time, who are slower than a snail. Open your eyes wide and look around. Do you see clearly? They're all my people. The human-faced tiger and poisonous wasp king that cooperated with you are already dead. The eagle king has escaped without a trace. The subordinates of the 3 kings have been taken over by me. Those that are unwilling to submit have long since become the wandering souls of my sword. Clever young man, everyone says how clever you are. But no matter how clever you are now, what can you do? The clever you, what can you use to fight against me? Yu Yang coldly snorted. What if I say I do? The Toad King laughed maniacally, as if it had heard the funniest joke in the world. It laughed until its saliva spurted out. It laughed so hard that it almost stopped breathing. Ha 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 ha. I'm dying of laughter. I'm really dying of laughter. What other abilities do you have? Quickly take them out for me to see. I know that you want to use Pandora's box. Yes, I know that you have it, but it's useless. Just now, before Burning Wind and Juan Mo left, they had secretly scattered spirit-sealing sand in the air. Although this is a treasure with a time limit, in the next 10 minutes, you and your beast will not be able to use any treasures. Young man, don't think that you're the only smart person in this world. I'm not stupid either. I will definitely not let you take out Pandora's box, and I will definitely not be stupid enough to break it. Yu Yang was enraged and roared loudly. What? I will kill you. The Toad King laughed maniacally, complacently. Anger. Rather than saying it's anger, it's better to say it's the verbal struggle of a weakling. Come and kill me, I'll wait. Come, I'm waiting to see how you kill me. Do you want a knife? Do you want me to stretch my neck? Ha ha ha. Just as the Toad King was laughing complacently, someone who couldn't possibly attacked. A giant shadow like a mountain. A terrifying power that could completely destroy a mountain fiercely struck the Toad King's head. With just one strike, the Toad King's head was smashed into pieces. The giant toad's eyes flew 1,000 meters away, reaching the edge of the wind-stop runic battle formation. Even the toughest toad's long tongue. It had already been broken into many pieces. The Toad King, who had lost its head, slowly fell down in front of everyone's eyes. In the end, with a rumble, it smashed onto the ground. The two temple elders who were one with the golden ape shockingly discovered that the one who attacked and killed the Toad King was actually the garrison vice palace master, who was one with the giant bear beast. Why would the garrison vice palace master kill the Toad King? What was going on? The garrison vice palace master, who had turned into a giant bear, didn't say anything. He only leapt up high, a pair of giant palms, and then smashed down towards the two golden ape companions. Are you crazy? The two temple elders wanted to jump backwards to dodge, but they shockingly discovered that there was something strange behind them. Behind them, there was a shadow that stuck closely to them. They didn't know what kind of technique was used to control them. In an instant, the two temple elders who had turned into golden apes realized that they couldn't move at all. They could only watch as the giant palms descended. Boom, boom. The two golden apes' heads were smashed into smithereens by the garrison vice palace master's giant bear palm, consecutively killing 3 people. The garrison vice palace master, who was one with the giant bear beast, whose body was stained with the blood of his companions, walked in front of Yu Yang with big strides. With the world's most pious and most respectful posture, he knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. When he stood up again, he spat on the Toad King's corpse with a face full of disdain. Idiot, do you think I would casually tell you that I am actually a spy? Everyone was shocked. Everyone was stunned. In the sky, the dark clouds gathered again. This wasn't the sign of the Black Sun's arrival, but the punishment of the Beast Valley's beast transformation after a beast died 3 times. When Yu Yang leisurely picked up the energy-absorbing bracelet and the ice frost demon sword on the ground, a bolt of purple lightning struck down and struck the Toad King's corpse. The evil man who was one with the toad was still stunned by the garrison vice palace master's heavy palm. He couldn't escape in time and was struck by the lightning. Of course, even if he successfully escaped, he wouldn't be able to escape the punishment of the ancient code. From now on, the Toad King would truly become a toad. Once it died, it would be an eternal death with no possibility of resurrection. Blood-colored rose. The Reaper Mantis sister caught the ice frost demon sword that Yu Yang threw over and froze the Toad King, who was still in a weakened state. At the same time, she also opened a bloody hole with a cross-shaped rose pattern on its stomach. The Toad King was scared out of its wits. It disregarded everything and wanted to escape. Even if it was frozen and its speed was as slow as a tortoise, it still forgot everything and turned around, wanting to escape death. A fist fiercely smashed into the Toad King's face, directly causing half of the Toad King's head to cave in. The dizzy Toad King saw the dripping, wet human-faced tiger standing in front of him, looking at him angrily with all his hair standing on end. Human-faced tiger, wasn't it dead? Could it be that it was hallucinating before it died? Or was it the repercussions of the ancient code's punishment? The Toad King didn't have the time to think. Suddenly, it felt a needle stinging its spine. It opened its eyes with force, and when it looked, it was indescribably frightened. This time, it actually saw the dead poisonous Wasp King with its own eyes. It was the poisonous Wasp King that was stinging it. How is this possible? It was impossible. The wasp and the tiger were both dead. As a beast man, no matter who it was impossible for them to resurrect. I'm the same as you, a resident. I've never even died once. All my previous deaths were just an act. The poisonous Wasp King laughed coldly. On the contrary, I'm a real beast. Human-faced tiger said, while suppressing its anger. However, as long as there's water, I won't really die. Thank you for using the ice sword to kill me. Otherwise, I would have really died. Human-faced tiger thought for a bit, then added, the squid definitely didn't tell you this secret, because it also didn't know that I still had a final life-saving method. Clever Toad King, you're not the only one who knows how to set up a trap. Although you're very clever, others aren't fools either. Yu Yang smiled slightly. That smile was as bright as the sun under the gazes of the many dumbstruck beasts. However, for some reason, everyone felt that this brat smile was even scarier than a demon smile. Yu Yang didn't care about how the others were looking at him. He only slowly introduced to the Toad King. Although I didn't know that the human-faced tiger's life-saving method was the stagnant water recovery, and its skills and attitude were all outside of my calculations, it didn't stop me from using the stone-pushing field to counter it once. Finally, I'll tell you another piece of good news. Actually, there are many ways to open Pandora's box. For example, the composition of your wind-stop runic battle formation can be one of them. Slowly enjoy the curse of the divine power of disaster. I think you'll like it. The Toad King was speechless. Its eyes were filled with despair and death. Chapter 874. Beast Valley. Half a month had passed since they killed the Toad King. Today was the day that Yu Yang and the Reaper Mantis prepared to leave the valley. In half a month's time, Yu Yang and the Reaper Mantis had almost covered the entire back section of the Beast Valley. Even the two-headed black dragon that was guarding the wisdom fruit tree had gone over to greet them. As for the wisdom fruit, Yu Yang really didn't care too much about it. In Tong Tian Tower, there were many wisdom fruits that ripened every year. Not to mention the Golden Elves, Easter Goblin Tribe, Sea Clan, Demon Clan, and Underworld Clan. Even some small places produced them. If Yu Yang wanted to exchange for them with martial spirit pills, the king of each clan would definitely be able to come up with more than 100 wisdom fruits. The wisdom fruit was very precious in the Beast Valley. The Reaper Mantis was now a holy beast. After the enlightenment of the wisdom fruit and the god's radiance, its intelligence had already leaped to the level of a divine beast. However, its strength was still far from that of a divine beast. It was temporarily considered a divine beast, but not yet a divine beast. To the Reaper Mantis, eating 1 or 2 wisdom fruits was the same as not eating them at all. They were of little use to the Reaper Mantis. Therefore, Yu Yang did not have any idea about the wisdom fruit guarded by the double-headed black dragon. Instead, he used the martial spirit pill to make a deal with the double-headed black dragon, in exchange for the dragon's teeth that only changed in 1,000 years. It's fine to give the dragon scales for free, but also the dragon horns? The double-headed black dragon was very depressed. It really wanted to swallow this brat in one gulp or burn him in a charcoal. Unfortunately, this idea was destined to fail. As a dead guy that guarded the Beast Valley for tens of thousands of years, it had sharp eyes. It could tell that even without the protection of the laws, this brat was not below it. According to his potential and intelligence, this brat's future was limitless. Maybe would need his help one day. The twin dragon black dragon bargained in the transaction. How about I give you another bottle of dragon blood, dragon horn, dragon scale, and dragon blood in exchange for 10 martial spirit pills? My dragon blood has a very pure, primordial dragon bloodline. My father was a primordial dragon. You don't want to rob me. Yu Yang firmly objected. Then I'll change it to 8. The two-headed black dragon also knew that it would not be so easy to take him down. This brat's martial spirit pill was of the highest quality. If he missed it, he would definitely regret it. No, Yu Yang didn't bother to bargain and left immediately. What's the rush? Let's talk it out. The black dragon quickly stopped him. How about I use 2 bottles of dragon blood to exchange for 6 martial spirit pills, a pair of dragon horns, and 100 dragon scales? With so little, I can only trade for 1. Yu Yang finally made a counteroffer. However, this kind of counteroffer almost made the black dragon choke him to death. Do you think my blood is boiled water? The double-headed black dragon was furious. No matter what, it had the noble bloodline of the ancient giant dragon. If 2 bottles of dragon blood were to be exchanged for a martial spirit pill, it would be a joke. If you don't want to trade, then so be it. 2 bottles of dragon blood is nothing. If I have the time, I can kill one myself and fill 2 buckets with it. Yu Yang sneered. Don't be like this. How about 2 bottles of dragon blood for 5, and I'll use the moonstone to exchange for 1. The double-headed black dragon decided to take a loss. In any case, all these years, this brat was the only one who made it suffer. For the sake of a new realm, even if it knew that this was a loss, it would still accept it. The double-headed black dragon also took out a treasure that it had debated for a long time before finally deciding to take out. Look at this dragon whistle. With it, you can control giant dragons and wyverns below heaven stage. Trash. Yu Yang's heart palpitated with excitement, but on the surface, he looked disdainful. Do you know what a treasure is? The double-headed black dragon almost exploded in anger. Although this dragon whistle was only a gold-ranked treasure, its use was boundless, far surpassing its rank as a gold-ranked treasure. If it wasn't for the restriction of being below heaven stage, this thing would be even more powerful than a holy-ranked treasure. For a super expert, the dragon whistle's direct help was of course very little, almost useless. However, a super expert would definitely have a group of subordinates, right? With this dragon whistle, he would be able to summon many giant dragons below heaven stage or all kinds of wyverns, forming an army of dragon knights. By blowing this dragon whistle at any time, he would be able to summon an army of dragon knights to his side. The maximum number of dragon knights could reach up to 10,000. With this number and quality of a flying army in his hands, even a fool would be able to fight for a territory in the heaven realm. The double-headed black dragon had spent a lot of effort to snatch it from a challenger. It never would have thought that this brat, Yu Yang, would actually disregard the dragon whistle. This really made it unbearably angry. However, Yu Yang had his own reasons. I don't lack mounts. For someone of my status, what's the point of riding a giant dragon below heaven stage? He had lost all his face to his grandmother's house. Moreover, riding a dragon is not comfortable. It's not like I don't have any dragons at home. I have even more powerful ones. I'm already sick of riding them. If I have the time, I might as well ride a luxurious airship. The double-headed black dragon was speechless. It finally understood. Why did this brat not know what was good for him? The reason was very simple. This brat was basically the young master of a super big clan. He might even be the young master of that legendary clan. Since he was born, he didn't lack anything. Why would he care about a gold-ranked dragon whistle? With this dragon whistle, I can build an army of wyverns and have them follow me around. It's quite cool. The double-headed black dragon felt that it was too wasteful to keep this treasure. Rather than letting it be idle, it would be better to persuade this brat to exchange it. In order to increase the value of this treasure, the double-headed black dragon added another bargaining chip. If you are willing to exchange, I will give you a dragon contract that can allow you to contract a giant dragon. I need a dragon contract to contract a giant dragon? They queue up and eagerly beg me to contract them. Do you think I can contract any beast? It must be a beautiful beast. What giant dragon? Move aside. If I didn't want to make a dragon teeth puppet, I wouldn't make such a losing deal with you. Yu Yang snorted. With regards to Yu Yang's words, the double-headed black dragon somewhat believed him. This brat looked like a hedonistic son of a rich family. It was very possible that he didn't like to contract a giant dragon. Instead, he liked beautiful beasts. He was a prodigal. He was all like this. The more the double-headed black dragon looked at Yu Yang, the more he felt that this brat was a prodigal. Of course, it didn't care who Yu Yang was. If he wasn't a prodigal, why would he take out a martial spirit pill to exchange for something? Maybe his family had painstakingly refined this martial spirit pill and left it for him to use, but he didn't take it seriously. Thinking of this, the double-headed black dragon felt that it should take this martial spirit pill that was delivered to its doorstep. In the end, it lowered another level. 3 bottles of dragon blood, dragon whistle, dragon horn, dragon scales, and the indestructible dragon claw that I shed, plus moon gem and star stone, in exchange for 10 martial spirit pills. Yu Yang pretended not to hear it, and slowly dug his ears with the end of his fingers. The double-headed black dragon was thick-skinned and not angry at all. For bottles of dragon blood, how about adding another bottle? A bucket of dragon blood is more like it. Yu Yang proposed a condition that made the double-headed black dragon want to kill him. A bucket of dragon blood? No matter how small the bucket is, it's enough to hold 10 bottles. What do you think my blood is? That's dragon blood, not spring water. Besides, if I let out a bucket of blood at a time, won't I die? The double-headed black dragon was going crazy. For a big guy like you, a bucket of dragon blood is nothing. At most, it's just menstruation. When Yu Yang said this, the people who were hiding in the distance to watch the negotiation all fell to the ground. I'm a man, okay. The veins on the double-headed black dragon's head popped out. I'm just making an analogy. Yu Yang suddenly put on a grinning expression. I've never seen a giant dragon bleed before. If you don't let me see it today, I won't give up. This time, not only the poisonous Wasp King, Dragon Horse, Itachi Scythe, and the others who were watching from afar, even the double-headed black dragon fell to the ground. They had never seen such a twisted person before. Who taught this child to casually let him out? This was simply a disaster to the heaven realm. However, the double-headed black dragon really believed it. Like this hedonistic young master who could get whatever he wanted since he was young, who had never failed in his wishes, he believed that he was the apple of his elder's eyes. He was overly spoiled, so it wasn't strange for his mentality to be a little twisted when he grew up. In order to satisfy Yu Yang's wish, and also for the martial arts pill that he was about to obtain, the double-headed black dragon could only sacrifice himself and let out a fountain of blood from his neck. There's nothing to see. After watching, Yu Yang curled his lips in boredom. If you say that again, I'll slap you. The double-headed black dragon felt that this child had been spoiled too much. It had to teach him a lesson. All right, seeing that you're about to cry, I'll give you 10 martial arts pills. Yu Yang took out a mutton-fat jade bottle and counted it. He found that there were as many as 11 martial arts pills. Just as he was about to pour one out, the double-headed black dragon was quick and snatched it away. Afraid that Yu Yang would turn hostile, it quickly threw out dragon teeth, dragon horns, and other things with its other claw, piling them in front of him. Finally, it hung the dragon whistle on Yu Yang's neck. It didn't even wait for Yu Yang to come over and had already put the moon gem and star stone into his pocket. Yu Yang was about to speak, but the double-headed black dragon held his hand tightly with its claws and announced with a face full of smiles, "The transaction is successful." The double-headed black dragon simply turned a deaf ear to Yu Yang's angry stare and scolding it for being a scoundrel. "Silly child, you have to be a scoundrel when doing business. You can't eat a refined gentleman." It realized that it liked to see Yu Yang, this arrogant brat's dejected look. Seeing his drooping shoulders and listless appearance, it couldn't help but pat his shoulders with its claws and comfort him. "Young man, suffering a loss is a blessing. You should understand this principle." "Hey, where are you going? You don't want the dragon blood anymore? Are you really going to leave? You really don't want these anymore?" Yu Yang was very sad, just like an innocent child who had been cheated by others. "I don't want them anymore." Hearing his tone, the double-headed black dragon even felt a trace of guilt. Wasn't it bullying this brat too much? No matter what, it was still considered an old senior that was tens of thousands of years old. This brat was still a little bean sprout that had just emerged. Acting like a scoundrel to him was really a bit too much. Of course, it was impossible to return a martial arts pill. After thinking for a while, it spat out a ball of raging golden flames and passed it to Yu Yang. "A child will always be a child. Why are you crying? Here, you're quite pleasing to the eye. I'll give this to you. This is the dragon flame that I had condensed after thousands of years. It is the world's most powerful flame, an existence that will never be extinguished. Isn't the flame that will never be extinguished Nirvana's flame? Yu Yang expressed that even if it wanted to lie, it should at least be more professional. Nirvana's flame is one of a kind. It can only be found by chance. Other than that one, my dragon flame is indeed the most powerful. Anyway, it's a good thing. The double-headed black dragon's face turned red. It had boasted too much. Luckily, no one here had seen Nirvana's flame before. Really? Yu Yang was skeptical when he heard it. Of course, you could take it back and slowly study it. If your beasts can absorb it, then their strength will increase greatly. The double-headed black dragon then signaled the surrounding beasts to come over and help Yu Yang carry the dragon teeth and dragon horns back. It then found an excuse to rest and sent Yu Yang out of its dragon domain. After Yu Yang had gone far away, it laughed wildly, pleased with itself. Brat, no matter how smart you are, how could you be a match for me? A 10,000-year dragon, the dragon teeth, and the others were all replaced. They were not worth much at all. Dragon blood would also recover in a few days, so I could have as many as I wanted. It was just that the dragon whistle and dragon flame were a bit of a pity. However, with these 11 martial arts pills, I could at least level up by 1 level. Not to mention 11 martial arts pills, even if I had one, I would still be able to recoup my losses. The more the double-headed black dragon thought about it, the more pleased it became. That brat was indeed very smart and not easy to deal with. However, compared to itself, he was still far from being able to do so. When the dragon horse and the Itachi scythe saw Yu Yang's face that looked like he had suffered a loss, they felt a little strange in their hearts. They quietly asked the poisonous wasp king, "Is it really a loss? Why do we feel like it's a big profit?" The two of them asked very softly, not daring to let Yu Yang hear them. After the poisonous wasp king heard it, it rolled its eyes. "Did you guys become pig heads after dying once? Do you think that third young master would do a losing business?" The dragon horse and the Itachi scythe were suddenly enlightened and hurriedly slapped their own mouths. They actually asked such a silly question. They were really getting worse as they lived. However, Yu Yang had a negative opinion. It's really a loss. If it wasn't for the fact that you guys don't even have a bit of acting skills, if you guys could cooperate a little, I could at least extract double the profit. I already told you guys not to follow me, but you guys insisted on following me, causing that old fellow to see some signs and bite on it. If not, how could there only be such a small amount of money? Third young master, this is already a lot. If we cooperate with you and extract double the profit, that old dragon will definitely pull out his tendons and skin us alive. Even if we have that kind of acting skills, we will still feel guilty. Although the Itachi scythe felt that he was a bad person, if he really extracted double the profit, he would feel a sense of guilt. Maybe there will be heavenly punishment. The dragon horse thought about how to extract double the profit and immediately shivered. This is the quibble of the incompetent. Yu Yang directly looked down on it. If you don't have the ability, why do you still want to learn to talk about conscience? The dragon horse and the Itachi scythe looked at each other with tears in their eyes. Chapter 875. Are you sure you won't leave? Before Yu Yang left the Beast Valley, he asked the human-faced tiger and Eagle King once again. "We don't have anyone to worry about outside. There's no difference between staying here and going out. Most importantly, after experiencing so much and being trapped in the Beast Valley for so many years, we are not used to the changes in the outside world. We can still do a lot of things here. Darius and the Lion King are both willing to split the Beast Valley into 3. Eagle and I could be considered as one side if we join hands. Although our strength is slightly inferior, we can still barely protect ourselves. As for our subordinates, there are still many residents and beastmen following us. If we leave, their lives will be in danger." The human-faced tiger smiled and shook his head, rejecting Yu Yang's invitation. "Instead of going out to be an insignificant person, I would rather stay in this familiar Beast Valley and be a small leader. I'm familiar with everything here. After living here for so many years, this is like my home. If I were to leave now, I would really miss it. We might go out in the future, but not now. Eagle King also expressed his gratitude to Yu Yang. All right, it's up to you. Yu Yang nodded and turned to leave. The Poisonous Bee King, Dragon Horse, and Weasel Scythe, who were temporarily under the Reaper Mantis, waved goodbye to the many beastmen who were sending them off. Unlike the Itachi Scythe and the other two, they could only contract and lead 10 magical beasts out of the valley. The Cheetah Brothers, the Short-Tailed Cat, the Rhinoceros, the Elephant, and the other magical beastmen went through a mental struggle before finally deciding on this. Some beastmen, like the Human-Faced Tiger and Eagle King, had already made the Beast Valley their home and were unwilling to leave. For example, the Old Mountain Elf Longhair. There were also some residents who had to let their beasts die once or twice before they could become beastmen. This made many residents shrink back. Only a resident called Wind Fox committed suicide twice and used his life to obtain one of the precious 10 places. The last place belonged to the Lion King's brain, Crow. If not for him, when the Toad King went on a killing spree, Weasel Scythe, Short-Tailed Cat, and Rhinoceros would have died. When Crow found Yu Yang, there were no more objections to the 10th place. Brothers, goodbye. The Dragon Horse waved to its former friend. Thinking about how it would soon regain its freedom and all the things it had experienced in the Beast Valley, it was overwhelmed with emotions and could not help but shed tears. Goodbye. Almost all the magical beasts and residents came to send them off. Although there were only 10 of them who left this time, they brought a glimmer of hope to the residents and magical beasts of the Beast Valley. If there was another challenger like Yu Yang who could nurture a beast into a holy beast, then there was still a possibility of leaving. Those who remained in the Beast Valley knew that the possibility was slim, but at least they did not despair. Perhaps there would never be another abnormal challenger like Yu Yang. However, even if he couldn't nurture a holy beast and instead had an extremely intelligent beast, he would still have the chance to bring people away. Compared to a holy beast, the only difference was that he could bring 10 people away. Saint Beasts could bring 10 people with them, but non-Saint Beasts could only bring one person with them at most. Even if they could only bring one person with them, there's still hope, right? After leaving the Beast Valley, Yu Yang and the Reaper Mantis returned to the outside of the Heaven Realm. The Poisonous Bee King, the Dragon Horse, the Itachi Scythe, and the others all returned to their original forms in a burst of golden light, turning back into humans. The beast that was nurtured in the Beast Valley had completely disappeared, leaving only a magic crystal for the Dragon Horse and the Itachi Scythe. If not for the magic crystal in their hands, the Dragon Horse and the Itachi Scythe would even have a strange thought. Did they really stay in the terrifying Beast Valley? Was that all real? All of that? Was it really not a dream? No matter what, they who had transformed back into humans were overwhelmed by joy. They could not help but hug each other tightly, cheering and shouting in tears, venting their excitement of regaining freedom. I say, Itachi Scythe, do you have anyone in your family? If not, where would you go to? That's not right. Why are you from the Skyfire tribe? Aren't you from the Nightwind tribe? The Dragon Horse shouted when it saw Itachi Scythe's real body. You lied to me too. You even said you were from the Earthly tribe. Who doesn't know that you are from the Forest Waterfall tribe? Itachi Scythe also felt that he had been cheated. What's wrong with him? Yu Yang was curious. It's nothing. The two tribes are just natural enemies. Skyfire against Forest Waterfall, not bad. I think they will fight later. The Poisonous Bee King did not change much. She was originally a bee woman. Before the Poisonous Bee King finished speaking, the Dragon Horse and the Itachi Scythe glared at each other as if they were ready to fight. You guys fight slowly. Yu Yang yawned and waved his hand casually. I want to go back to sleep. You guys go do what you need to do. I'm leaving. How are we going to find you in the future? The Poisonous Bee King asked what everyone was thinking. Why don't you tell us a location? We will lead our tribe to join you. The Dragon Horse and the Itachi Scythe both felt that following Yu Yang was the best way to go. Who cares about your trivial matters? If you want to follow me out of the valley, don't even think about it. Get lost. Yu Yang was furious. Even if she was a nanny, this was not the way to do it. Furthermore, she didn't even have a salary. Who would want to work so tirelessly for no reason? Being the boss every day, do you think I'm a vain fool like Fatty High? No way. Yu Yang reprimanded. The tearful farewell atmosphere immediately disappeared. Everyone was scared and ran away. No one dared to provoke the Yu clan's third young master. He had always been living with resentment for not fully exploiting the two-headed black dragon. At this time, whoever provoked him would be unlucky. When Yu Yang left, the poisonous bee king gathered everyone and whispered a secret, Conqueror City. He once accidentally revealed that he had a few companions training in Conqueror City. It's impossible to follow him. Think about your abilities. You guys are trash. You even need someone to carry you if you fail to pass the trial. If you have a promising younger generation in your tribe, you might have some hope. All right, I'm leaving. You guys continue fighting. The poisonous bee king also disappeared into the sky with a whoosh. Everyone looked at each other. In the end, they all nodded at the same time. Only a fool would not follow the Yu clan's third young master. Even if they did not hope for their tribe to rise, they could at least be protected and continue to prosper. It's impossible not to fight, but you are too weak. I'm afraid you will fall after a few punches. That would be boring. Dragon Horse sneered at Itachi. I'm afraid that after 2 or 3 punches, you will be looking for your teeth on the ground. If you have the ability, compete with me in drinking. Whoever loses is a turtle. Itachi's strength was incomparable to Dragon Horse's. Moreover, they had gone through life and death together in the Beast Valley. There was no enmity between them. The two of them first punched each other's chest. When the other party opened his mouth in pain, they laughed loudly. At the same time, they held each other's shoulders tightly, like a pair of close friends. They laughed and scolded each other all the way. Rhino and the others who were prepared to watch the show looked at each other. If they don't fight, what should we do? Crow was the first to chase. Who knows what will happen in the future? Why think so much? Let's compete in drinking first. Wait, the remaining people also hurriedly chased after them. Since they were already out of the Beast Valley, there was no need to worry about their clan. Thousands of years had passed, let alone a few days. Let's celebrate first. Conqueror City. Yu Yang discovered that Fatty High and the others were being trained like dead dogs by the veterans. He could not help but feel pity. After training for so long, your improvement is so small. You guys have lost the face of Tong Tian Tower. For my face, I have to do something. How about I use the ancient dragon's blood to help you guys level up? Otherwise, I won't even dare to tell others that I know you guys. Fatty High was furious. Hey, I've obviously improved a lot. As a boss, I've already set an example and set an example. It's just that Yikong, that monkey's performance is terrible. Even if he's a lackey, he's still a disgrace to Tong Tian Tower. I'm definitely the one who performed the best. Look, my baby is almost a holy beast. The wind breath seabird was really good. It had already evolved into a beautiful woman's head. It was a perfect beauty. It looked like a siren with a human face and eagle body, but did not look evil at all. Instead, it had the majesty of a holy beast. However, her improvement did not have much to do with Fatty High. Although Fatty High had improved a lot, he cannot be compared to Shui Tanlang. He was still far behind. Just as Fatty High was bragging about his future, beautiful holy beast, the Reaper Mantis sister appeared. Her appearance made him dumbfounded. After a long time, he asked in disbelief with a trembling voice, "Is this the Reaper Mantis that specializes in eating wyvern's head? It can't be. What kind of adventure did she have? How did she become so small? And she even became a holy beast. I don't want to live anymore. You're such a bully. Do you think it's easy for me to raise a holy beast? How dare you attack me like this? Can't you let me be proud for a few days? If you do this, where will I, who is publicly acknowledged as Tong Tian Tower's most outstanding young genius, place my face?" Yu Yang was speechless. "Fatty, are you itching again?" Yikong could not help but want to beat him up. Hui Tai Lang also rushed up to help. Even Shui Tam Lang and Prince of Tian Luo could not help but point their middle fingers at Fatty High. They had seen people who needed a beating, but they had never seen someone who needed a beating as much as Fatty High. Tong Tian Tower, having such a person was definitely a disgrace. The veterans were also stunned, but not because they saw the Reaper Mantis. They heard Yu Yang say that he would use the ancient dragon's blood to help Fatty High level up. According to their observation and judgment, Fatty High and the others' potential had already been fixed to a certain extent. Even if they could level up, it would be limited. Moreover, the foundation of their bloodline was very solid. It would be very difficult to change it with external help. Originally, they felt that it was a pity. Now that they heard that Yu Yang still had a way to level up, they could not help but be secretly shocked. Looking at Yu Yang seriously again, they realized that this brat was already very different from the first time he came to Conquer City. The current him seemed to be close to the God Realm. Young people could improve very quickly, but it should not be to this extent, right? They wanted to ask, but Yu Yang did not give them a chance. He smiled mysteriously and used the three-realm compass to leave instantly, returning to Tong Tian Tower. Only Hui Tai Lang, who saw the Reaper Mantis lightly pounding its fists to please Yu Yang, felt a sense of danger. It hurriedly followed and returned to Tong Tian Tower together. No matter what, the job of flattering its master had to be handed to it. It could not let that little girl snatch it away. As its master's most loyal beast, Hui Tai Lang would never allow others to challenge its exclusive job. In terms of performance, Hui Tai Lang was definitely number one. Berry Sword Valley, I'll leave it to you. If you find a suitable rune, it will belong to you. Yu Yang felt that it was time to give Hui Tai Lang a task, so that it would not be too idle. Oh, Hui Tai Lang was almost excited when it heard this. Its master was always the best to it. It patted its chest, expressing that it would definitely do well. It would not go to Tian Luo Palace anymore. It directly turned halfway, bid farewell to Yu Yang, and went to the Xia Palace. Without another word, it first looked for Shui Dong Lu, that old fox. He was going to take care of Berry Sword Valley. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.